The information displayed in this broadcast is known to cause increased amounts of FOMO. Wells only and his guests are not responsible for any losses you may accrue for having weak hands. Where the haters at? Yeah, bitches still ain't showed up. And now, right, we got HEX, flawless uptime. People thought this was a joke. Now they're mad at the chart. This is Whales Only. Glad you guys can make it out. I'm making some claims that are pretty outlandish, but I can back them up. Boom. End of story. There is no other crypto out there, so don't get it twisted. If you don't understand where you're parking your money, you're gonna pay the consequences for that, and that's just how the cookie crumbles. Boom. We're obliterating everybody, literally. There is nobody else that comes close to what HEX has done. Boom. Oh, it's about to get funky. Funkier than you could have ever imagined. You know, Richard Hart is a boss. HEX is literally the best thing on the planet. It's simple mathematics. Right? The reality is that I want to be rich as fuck. There's only one way to be rich as fuck. That's by sitting on your ass the longest. Yep. That's it. Yep. That's the secret. The guy well told you. Richard done told you. I done told you. Kareem done told you. Maddie done told you. Everybody done told you. Everybody done told you. These motherfuckers still acting like they don't know. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
100% safe. There's plenty of games left.
Valiant done told you. Yo, everybody said it. Man, hey, you know what it is, man? Everybody done told you. Y'all's deep. Everybody. My God. HEX Asians, bro. Everybody. Australians, man. Everybody gets me. Yo, when is it told you? Dollar told you. Everybody done told you. It's crazy. What up, everybody? Yeah. So you guys just saw that thing on Twitter. I mean, 750 HEX in one go. Wow. Wow. I mean, this is not big payday. This is not launch phase. This is not any of that. This is just regular day. So we got a whole lot to talk about. Today. So we're gonna get started because it's just wild out here. I mean, you know, we all live under the guise that, you know, rule of law and, you know, just process and all this nonsense, and it's just not the case, right? You see it happen day in, day out. And thank you guys for tuning in too. I'm usually very bad with the social engagement sometimes, but thank you guys for tuning in, because of course I would be talking to myself otherwise. But you know, the biggest thing is just understanding, and this is really the most important thing from everything I guess I'm trying to share. Is that you really got to understand the rules of the world that we live in, right? Because as you guys can see, the only ones following them are people like us, right? So these are the kinds of things you really got to keep in mind when you're making decisions that are to benefit you in your future. Because again, nobody else is going to do it for you. And that's important to understand. Right? Because how else are you going to make it to wherever you're trying to make it if you're not thinking about what's best for you? Things to think about. Things to think about. Because it's easy to just act like you're going to pull some money out of a market, but you have to really understand that you don't control that at all. Like, that's why crypto is important, right? Like, you guys have seen what they've done recently in the fiat legacy markets, how they just cancel trades, shut markets down, just undo everything, even though you won. Shout out to Cryptomatic. Is he streaming right now? Am I streaming over him? Damn, my bad if I am, bro. He'll probably just come over here anyway, so it's cool. But those are the kinds of things I want you guys to think about. Like, they're literally just making it up as they go along, and it's not to your benefit; it's to their benefit. So you have to counteract that with the decisions that you make. Right? This is why we go over the things that we go over, so you can understand in a very basic level, or at least a very base level, what it is you need to be focused on, because it's easy to get lost. It's very easy to get lost. And this is why we have these streams. It's to try to keep people focused on kind of what matters, because it's easy to get lost. I mean, you guys see how easy it is to go from one trend to another. Last year was meme coins, or the year before. I don't even know if it was the year before or last year. I can't even tell anymore. But we went from meme coins to NFTs, right? And that's just how the markets work. Like, they go from the one trend to the next, just like, in the stock market. What's going on, something? What we doing, old brother? And these are the kinds of things you got to understand. Because, look, there's nothing wrong with making money. That's what we're here for. But my angle is not about just making money. And there's a very important difference to take in that. This is slow money in a sense. Even though it's really not slow money. But the moves are slow. Because all we're really doing is following the trend. Yeah, that's it. We're just letting the market work itself out as it moves on higher. That's all we're honestly doing. We're not really trying to be active engagers of the market, but we are always engaging the market, right? But we engage it in a passive stance. So it's kind of like a passive aggressive stance, really, the way we engage the market, because, I actually had this tweet that I sent out, I don't know, maybe last week, explaining why I don't even engage people that just talk about fees and stuff like that, because they don't understand what they're talking about. Because if they did, like, for example, there's a very basic, Occam's razor understanding of why Hex isn't. Thanks for the shout out, brother. Why Hex isn't on, like, a Coinbase, for example, right? Because it's gonna hurt their revenue. Is the thought process, right? But in fact, Hex can spend more money than everybody else. Doing what? Buying Hex. So what you're really doing is limiting your revenue, in fact. And this is what these exchanges are actually doing. Why? Because they won't get a free slice. Right? And these are the things that you got to think about. Because, again, look at what happens in these other markets. Price changes in an instant. Right? Like, rug pulls, they happen in an instant. They don't come with a warning. And rug pulls come in many forms. When you hear the term in crypto, it just means one thing to you. But trust me, when I tell you, they happen in many forms. You're just used to seeing it one way. That's all. There's many different variations of what a rug pull looks like. Right? And this is what's very dangerous for people in crypto, or promise coins in general. Because, a lot of you guys, you think but you don't have a clue, because you're just used to seeing one very specific action over and over and over and over and over. Because guess what? Everybody copy paste and they do the same thing. But what happens when something changes? What happens when it's a 1 year distribution like we've seen in Bitcoin, and all of a sudden they rug that bad boy and it just drops to 10K or whatever? You didn't expect that, but that's how it happens in legacy side. See, it's a different kind of rug because you're here buying the dip in Bitcoin and Ethereum thinking it makes sense. But what are they actually doing? They're setting you up for the kill. That's what they're really doing. Right? And these are the kinds of things that they're not going to make sense to the average person because they haven't experienced that logic yet, right? Because as a person on the outside looking in, what happens is that you're reacting to what you've been told, right? That's honestly all you're doing. You're just reacting to what you've been told, and you're not really paying attention. So that only leaves one thing. You're just going to react because you're just looking for an out. And if this is one, you're not going to sleep on it, right? That's really all that is. And it makes sense. But the problem is this. It's kind of like why I did that last stream, fail to plan, plan to fail. If you're not understanding why you're doing the things you're doing, you're going to have a problem because you're going to end up making decisions that you didn't anticipate making or that you didn't really want to make in the first place. And that's where your videos of that guy selling 16 million hex come from, or any other dumb action that you can take into account. Honestly, I mean, that's where it comes from. It comes from you not having a plan and you just reacting to what you thought made sense. Seriously, that's it. At that one point in time, that's what you thought. And here's the thing, it just takes one split second. And that's it, because you just got to click buy or sell, and that's it. You're done. Right? And this is something that's very difficult for people to wrap their head around because it really happens in a fleeting fashion. Right? You're just sitting there, oh shit, click, done. Simple. That's really how it happens. And it's not for lack of wanting, right? People want to do the right thing in the market. So that's not the issue. The issue is understanding how to approach that. And I think that that's kind of the angle I'm taking nowadays, right? Try to discuss with you guys that the angle you might want to take when looking at a market, because it's easy to just operate in a market. But guess what? It's not. Also, right? So that's it. Um, you have to have a plan. If you know that you understand Hex and you realize that this is something you have to continuously accumulate over time, like that's something I understand, and I got a big bag and I don't care. I'm still buying Hex all the time. I mean, I don't know a lot of people that aren't, that have been around in Hex for longer than me. There's very few Hexicans that I know that are not buying Hex still to this day. Something to think about. Something to think about. And we're talking about people that have been around longer than me. I've only been around since day 330. So I'm not OG per se. I just happened to find Hex right before Big Payday. I did not buy on day one and none of that. So understand, right? 330 days before somebody came along and broke it down in English and showed how it actually works. Because here's the thing, everybody knew how it worked. So that's the easy part. The hard part is being able to prove it. And that's what the charts do. Because the charts are pulling data from the activity of the network, right? Because Hex is basically a network within itself. So when you take that realization, put it in your back pocket, it changes your perspective a little bit, right? Because it helps you realize that you got to take a look at the whole picture, not just the dollar amount. And this is something that a lot of people just were not understanding. They weren't understanding that. I heard that he said if you keep crying, he ain't gonna come, bro. So you're gonna have to stop acting like a little biatch. Thanks for the super chat, brother. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. Oh man. So those are the kinds of things those are the anecdotes you got to take away from anybody's stream, right? Especially if you're new in Hex, and you feel like you're late. I mean, if 8 cents is late, all right. I don't know. Maybe you should do some more research so you can understand Hex before you make that kind of assessment. I'm just busting your chops, man. um, right. So, how do we come to the realization of what we're trying to do? Right. We got to know what it is we want in the first place, and that is really the hardest thing for people to accomplish because they think just putting money in the market is the answer, and it's honestly not. Right? Why is it honestly not the answer? And it's not the answer because you're acting without regard to your situation. Think about it. What are you doing to add value? I mean, you're basically acting with impunity, right? You're not taking into account the long-term effects of your actions. And this is something that I wasn't realizing as I was coming up and learning the game myself. Because again, nobody was teaching me. And a lot of you guys are learning in the same fashion. So you have to realize that you have to, slow down and think about what it is you're trying to achieve. Because when you take that into consideration, that's when you can really sit down and nail down what it is you're trying to do. Because if you're just trying to make fast money, you need to play Hex a little differently, right? Hex isn't really fast money, so you got to know what you're doing here. You might need to go elsewhere. There might be value for you elsewhere. If you're brand new and you're trying to get your stack up, right? If you're trying to get your stack up, you got to think about how you're going to do that. What's the best way for you to achieve that goal? It's not easy, but it's not hard either. But you got to want to do it because it takes time, right? And that's the hardest thing. Now, once you realize that you want to do A, B, C, 1, 2, 3, what's the next step? You got to reverse engineer that thing, right? That's really all you can do. Try to reverse engineer your way to it. It's funny, right? Because this is one way of putting it, which is kind of true. Because what does that mean? That mean if you bought the top and you were just buying continuously on the way down and you weren't learning, well, and then you ended up learning, that's called luck. Because a lot of people were buying because of the pump. Not because it was the right thing to do. Because clearly a lot of people didn't stake. And that was the right thing to do. They would have been buying every day since that point in time. Because when you're staked and you have shares, what happens is that you are buying hex at crossover every day. That's what's happening with your yield, except you're not using any fiat to do it. You already have your ticket where you claim that hex every day in advance for however many days you decided to be staked. That's basically what you're doing, right? Because shares are like a receipt, and that receipt is your claim to getting paid every day based on your share count. And that's what the stake ID is tied to, and all these other nuances, right, that we all know about. Because you can have 100,000 different stakes, but all those different stakes equate to your total T-share payout on a daily basis, right? So you can look at it in aggregate, or you can look at it one by one. But the whole point is that you just want to be cognizant of why you're making the decisions that you're making. That's a very big, big thing. You know, it's easy for me to say why I'm talking about it. Oh, you guys, oh man, this is gonna be a fucking all-star stream. Shit. Okay. I didn't even mention this guy was coming on, so y'all fucking welcome. My man, what's up, homie?
What's going on?
Not much, man. How you doing?
I just got off a call with a old CME trader veteran from Chicago, so I figured, and I seen your message, so sorry I'm late, but here I am.
Nice. What were you guys chopping it up about?
We were looking at commodity prices and the S&P a little bit, and the dollar, and the yuan, and the ruble.
What was your net?
Kind of dabbling.
What was your net? I said, what was your net?
What do you mean?
Your net assessment.
Well, I think things are like paused. We're on pause. We're waiting for confirmation from a higher power to decide what the market's going to do next.
Well, I can tell you what the minis are about to do. They're about to roll over because they just hit resistance. Bitcoin the same, about to roll over. Same deal, right? Because they're tied together. And it's funny because at one point in time today, I saw a headline, and the headline was that the stock market was relying on Bitcoin for its pump. Now, I don't know.
S&P pumped first. Bitcoin followed S&P this time.
Well, there you go. That's not what the headline said.
Well, it's funny because like they got it backwards. Like Bitcoin led the downfall, and then it chased the S&P pump because traders are just jumping back into Bitcoin for a quick flip. It's simple. It's not fucking rocket science. Like right now, Bitcoin is not an attractive asset for people, and the people that want to buy it want to buy it at fucking $12,000. They don't want to buy it at current prices.
Of course not. Who the hell wants to pay $40K for anything?
If you ask anybody on Earth right now, regular people, if they want to buy Bitcoin, they say, "Yeah, I'll buy it when it gets down to $10,000." You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly. Because again, who wants to give money away if they don't have to?
It's a good trade right now, but it's like I don't know. It's just short term. Everything's short term right now until we get a new regime in power.
Right. Everything's basically in the throes of just going sideways, waiting for that next rotation lower.
I agree. I think this is just a pause to make sure that you don't if you're controlling the money supply, you don't want to scare everybody to the point where you cause more panic than you actually need to kill demand. Because really the goal here is to just kill demand.
Right.
Ultimately. And how you do that is by draining people's wallets. Because it's not your money until it's in cash, right? So if you miss that trade, then you're kind of shit out of luck until somebody helps you out.
Pretty much. Yeah. And let me pull up some. Let me get this out of here. Pull up some info so we can get into the convo.
For sure. I just kind of hopped in here. I don't even know what we're going to talk about today, but I seen that Kareem's coming in here.
Yeah, he's gonna jump in. So originally, this stream was just gonna be a solo stream. I was just gonna talk about Swift ending because they already called it, and I've been talking about it for long enough. So I figured I'd tidy it up for you fuckers, and whatever the game theory tells me, the ultimate options are gonna be in regards to the system. And we'll get to that eventually.
Mm-hmm.
But that was number one, and then you had this 750 hex jump, right? The
Oh,
t-shirt
dude,
rate.
I definitely want to talk. That's why I joined. I wanted to
Yeah,
talk the
well,
shit out of
it
that.
became a t-shirt party out of nowhere, So that's just where we're
Like,
at.
how did I miss
So
that? Like,
it
I didn't.
happens.
There was that big stake that was ending, but I didn't think it was gonna pump the T-shirt rate that much.
Well, it's all about the ROI, man.
Right. I
All about the
don't.
ROI.
I don't. How do I put this? That billion, like that billion coin stake, that was a 1 year stake that
Uh,
came off in what was that? 2 weeks ago.
right.
It was like when we did our last stream. It was like around like
Yeah, it was
May,
right
or
around.
early
It
or
was
mid
right
May or
around there.
something.
Yeah, it was early May because
But
there
that
was a
didn't
ton
pop the
of
share rate the same way that this one did.
didn't
This one must have
start
been
as.
an original one,
That's
like
right.
from the
It's
very, very
all
beginning.
about the
And here's the
ROI.
thing, guys, is the longer that this goes down the pipe, the more of those like legacy, like really big stakes are going to come off. And that's going to make these huge spikes in the share rate that, and it's kind of scary actually, because if you're not positioned in T shares and you don't know that, you could get hoodwinked on the next pump. You know what I mean? Because you could literally wake up, you could be coming in trying to buy like an $8,000 T share and then not know about one of these big stakes coming off, and the next day you're gonna have to pay 10 or eleven
Hmm.
thousand. You know what I mean?
I mean, look at this. This is for I think it's a week. Yeah. Oh, this is a month. So this is the month of. Hold on. Let me shore this up. Let's go to 15 months from now. Updates. All right. Let's see what we got here. All right. So this is weekly. All right. So this is for this coming week. Right.
Okay.
So this week, where we're at right now, we're gonna have 1.5 billion hex expiring. Right. So basically, if all these stakes are from Genesis T shares,
I don't. They might be the bow wave. Some of them. Like that's the thing, is we need a tool that can just auto detect which of those are over 800 days, and then we'd be set. We'd have all the detail.
I think the only way is by seeing, like, checking the activity on Etherscan and seeing what's actually an end state. So whoever could code up something like that, get to it, because they got those identifiers now.
Hmm.
I think you got every variable you need nowadays. So
So yeah, it's exciting. I mean, I didn't even expect that. I seen it on Twitter. I was like, I got to retweet this like now. So I'm the
yeah, it's
first one
crazy,
out the
man.
gate. Mm.
It's crazy. I mean, this is kind of what we were talking about, like pretty much the start of the whole year. When we all started streaming last year,
Hmm.
2021. And I guess people just
Kareem was
weren't.
all about it, right? He
Yeah.
was like the one waking me up to that, like that one day
Hmm.
that because like I'll be honest with you, when I like in November of 2020, I didn't understand like how that was going to become an exponential function as much. I thought it was more linear, but now I understand that it's an
Oh.
exponential function.
Yeah,
You know what I
very
mean? That was
exponential.
like around
Yes.
like the proving grounds of it and trying to figure out
Uh huh.
the intricate details of it.
Yeah, yeah. Nah, it's very exponential.
Mm.
Literally. No, we weren't being like cute when we were saying that. That's literally what it is.
Mhm.
This is why 512 is my thesis. 512x,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Because you need copious quantities of hex to obtain a T share. You cannot just obtain a unit of yield for 21,000 hex anymore. Now you need 22,000 plus. Eh. Now,
It's
I don't
crazy.
I don't want to get too into this topic right now. I want to wait for Kareem. So
Yeah,
let's
yeah,
let's
yeah.
go into
Let's
the
go
other
back.
topic.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah.
go to the other topic because I don't want to rain on his parade because
All
man,
right.
he is really the one that started talking about that shit first.
100%.
So we
100%.
gotta give it to him.
All right.
So hold on. Let me pull up some. There's some other tweets I gotta pull up. Hold on.
How's everybody doing in the chat?
Oh,
What's going on? I haven't seen. I mean, I've only did that one presentation. I didn't really have time to talk to anybody.
Yeah. So as you guys saw my tweet yesterday, let's just get right to it. Mastercard CEO lets everybody know what's going to happen in 5 years, basically. And this is something I've been basically focused on since I essentially learned how the system really works. Because once you learn how the system really works, it becomes clear that this is the only outcome. Because the dollar is worthless. So they have to blow it up. And this is what I'm trying to get people to understand. Like, I understand that you need your damn fiat and all that shit, but understand the reality of your situation. And now we're going to take a moment to address a long time person that hasn't been on the stream for a while. What up, homie?
Bang, bang. What's
Bang,
up,
bang.
family? Woo!
What's
Long
going on,
time
man?
no see. What up,
Bringing it
Axis?
back. What's
Oh,
up, man?
man.
Good to
Glad
see
be
you,
back.
face.
What a day. What a day. I just
Hell,
love
hell
this
of a day.
Man, I haven't seen you guys for a while. I was about to say seen your faces, but like the voices is what I need to hear. So what's cooking? What's cooking? Quick little shout out to my boy Mitchell. You know
that t-shirt right just was cooking.
Oh, dude, that's crazy. That's crazy. Oh man, we got so much to talk about today. I'm very excited. It's been a minute. I missed those streams. But yeah, please continue. I don't want to interrupt your train of thought, but yeah, gems today. I'm in a great mood. So
it's crazy, bro.
Makes 3 of us.
Yes, sir. June
That's
1st.
the biggest jump in t-shirt rate since the big payday, by the way.
Literally, I just broke it down. It's about like 1/7 of a big payday. It's insane because it was over 700.
Big payday was 4,000. So I'm gonna pull it up. I'm gonna pull it up.
Mm-hmm.
Don't worry. We're gonna break it all down. Don't even worry about it. We ain't got nothing else to do today.
Oh man,
shit! I'm starving, but I ain't got time to eat. T-shirts is the topic.
Perfect. It's only
That's right.
Here. I got 2-3 hours before even doing anything. So
man, look, it's like a fucking holiday for us.
Yes,
because
right before June 1st too.
Check this out. Not only they letting us know, yeah, fiat isn't gonna be around.
Mm-hmm.
We've been talking about this for a long time, and here is the notice.
Yep.
Literally, this is them letting you know ahead of time. So don't be slacking on your Mackin. Understand what's going on. You simply don't just get t-shirts anymore.
This was a very interesting article that we came across here, and it's surprising to me that he's so open and honest about like making a statement like
what
that.
What do you mean? What? This is all World Economic Forum.
They're particularly they're well, I get it, but like they're basically it's interesting. They're willing to kill one hand to feed the other, so to speak. Essentially, they're basically telling you that we already have, the next thing in the pipe for you guys. But
yeah. You ready for this? I'm gonna quote well on this one. You ready? No fucking choice.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Now, because when you come back,
we didn't give them one, right?
Exactly. And then because the world is just like an awakening happening right now. Shout out to my country. Like literally, I was impressed myself with the second after El Salvador making like the Bitcoin legal tender thing, and then there's already like 40 plus countries setting it up just to switch to crypto. So they got to come with the CBDC as soon as possible before the thing gets overrun, because they're not going to be able to control those countries anymore the way they used to. Remember, I was supposed to tell you guys the stories about how literally I woke up, I was 14 years old, we got devalued 50% overnight like that. And many other stories. Because we have crazy amount of natural resources, but that doesn't matter if you don't control your currency. And
right. If you don't control your resources, not even the currency.
Right. And if who you're going up against has like a way bigger military power or like other sort of force that they can impress upon you, like economic sanctions are one of the biggest ones. Yeah. Like, we'll make your people starve if you don't give us your resources. Well, that's a fair fight. It's not a fair fight.
Well, you know what's funny is that countries put themselves in that position. That's what's funny. It never starts out that way. It ends up that way.
Yes, I always like to.
Yeah, you heard the economic hitman stuff, right?
Yeah, exactly. I was about to go into that because I've experienced it live when I was there.
I was about to say, me and Kareem know that shit firsthand because both our countries have experienced it.
I've had family members, extended family members that got into government and stuff, and thank God my dad personally never got into that because when you go south, they literally hunt you down. So, but the point of the matter is, you got 3 types of setup. You have the setup like Wells perfectly said, where they put themselves in the situation. those people are being given money that they never had in their entire life. When you get to a point where people say, yeah, you're selling your country and you're getting literally like potentially billions of dollars, and your generations is set, family, whoever you want, because they know they're stealing trillions of dollars worth of resources. It's some type of money that, in a humble way, I've never seen that kind of money, so I can't even know myself what I would do. But that's how they're trying to co-opt you first. And if that doesn't work, then they use the military, then they use the coups. They'll basically come and make you look bad, and then literally just bring the army to kick you out. And then you have nothing too. So that's how they're able to keep you enslaved for that many years. Because after a while, you're basically asking yourself, why is this happening? Like,
Yeah.
why haven't we
You
learned?
forget how it even got there.
Exactly. Like, why does this thing keep repeating itself? And then you realize that it's so systematic that it's not normal, to the point where it's literally designed to be and stay that way. So to break free from that, that's why you need things like blockchains, things who are automatic.
Exactly. This is where crypto comes in.
Exactly.
It's the only way to subvert power by many hands, so to speak.
Yes, the so-called trustless trust. And a shout out to everybody in the chat. Those who are wondering, I'm from Central African Republic, the second country that passed the Bitcoin. Yeah.
Well, so, I don't even think. Hold on, let me ask you: was it just Bitcoin or was it just crypto? I thought it was just crypto, not just Bitcoin.
It's Bitcoin at the legal tender, like kind of like El Salvador. They passed the
for that. Yeah, but we all three know what that really means, which means it's the Trojan horse to get us in, and then everything else comes after.
Yes.
Man, I was just curious. I was just curious about the language.
No, makes sense. And they want to learn their own currency too, called the Songo, which is basically our native language back home. It's called Songo. So they want to name that as the currency. And right away, literally, because they literally announced it last month, around the 24th, right away, the same bullshit we're seeing here. The local central bank, the French getting involved talking shit, the Central African region, because it's called the CEMAC, which is basically my country, Cameroon, Chad, Congo, the two Congo, basically the Central African region.
Right.
So you have like which is kind of like United States of Central region, which we share the money together. They didn't know that we planned this ahead of time, because the main guy that runs the committee, kind of like the European Union, is actually the guy from our country. So we timed it out right. And then all the other statutes, they're trying to say, oh, you're trying to change the currency on it. No, that's not true. We're just making legal tender. The same way when you make quote unquote Bitcoin legal tender, you're not saying dollar doesn't exist.
What's funny is that they think they can opine on it.
Exactly.
That's what's funny.
You can see how the planning's been going on for a while, the timing geopolitically, because we're also doing business with the Russians to some extent, which makes sense. And for people who are new, just going to give that little background drop is, when you've been oppressed so much with your natural resources, where obviously the French did us dirty. Remember these guys tell you the story 100%. How they come in, they take 95% and we get 5% of the resource, which is garbage, of our own stuff. And then when we make enough money to buy the machines to do it ourselves, they don't want to sell it to us, right? So we had to find different ways to do business with different people to create that economic diversity, so you can actually have a say at the table. When you only have one person, then they can just manipulate you and abuse you. When you say, hey, we're going to do business with the Chinese, hey, we're going to do business, which we're doing with the Russian, now you have a better seat at the table, because you can say, no, I'm going to go with this guy. So that's why you see a lot of China in Africa in general. And then you also see now a lot of Russia, because we as a country, it's the only way, because we have learned from the French. We have learned from, obviously, United States, because that's where everybody took their playbook from. You know what I mean?
100%, yeah.
So now we know who's who. We just want to do business so we get a better seat at the table, because the other ones, they'll give us 50-50, right? I don't need to love the Chinese. I just need to know that if we do business with them, it's going to be 50-50 versus the other deal we're getting. I don't need to love the Russian, but I need to know that if the Russian do business with us, they're going to protect us.
Look, if you can pick up the quality of life for your population by 10% more just by making a deal, why wouldn't you do it?
Because the way the French used to do business is like, take it or live it. You don't like it, we're going to send a military coup. It starts way back home in French, and they run shit to the radio and social media. They make you look like you're the dictator, you're the bad guy, when in reality, even me, I used to be a victim of that. That's how bad the propaganda was.
I'm glad you're over here, though, man. I really am. I'm glad you made it out, and you're fucking
crazy. Then you find out
with us, and that's awesome.
Yeah, you find out that's
now what's going to happen is you're going to be the fucking shark that's going to take back resources home, and you're going to help things get turned back around the other way.
And literally, it's just having a better mean to preserve your value and transact, because the amount of natural resources that we have is still unfathomable. I mean,
dude, Africa's loaded with that stuff.
It's literally the reserve that we have.
South America too.
Yeah, exactly. So
it's funny how like the northern countries and the larger economies have all the over financialization and all the fucking little whips and saws, and then but all the resources are where there's none of the financialization.
It goes back to manipulation.
We have to insert ourselves into, like, we being like the over financialized economies, we have to assert ourselves into the resource economies. What happens when all of that gets redistributed through cryptocurrency and people can do things all on their own? Every country is going to become more and more sovereign, and then nation states are going to have to begin to compete for citizens, because it'll no longer be a game of I have this and you have that.
Exactly. And now you can actually even the play field, because everybody knows the game that's being played now. Like the manipulation goes back all the way to literally 1660. Little history lessons here, quick math for those who don't know. But around 1660, that's where they started doing the manipulation, just all the way to the map, like the map of Africa. Most people don't know that Africa is so big. You can fit United States, China, Russia, and Europe all in there and still have some space. It's so massive. So just didn't put in just in terms of resources and what's there. So the way they draw the map, the way they manipulate to make it look like you're below, they're above, and they make the representation smaller than what it actually is. And funny enough, if you actually take your time, whoever got a map at home, it's actually there in a footnote, but people don't read it. It literally says the map of Africa is like 15 to 20 times draw smaller than what it actually is, just so that the stuff can fit in the map. Like literally they manipulate in front of you, but people just don't know. So that's being manipulated. Your productivity is being sucked out of you. You can have all those resources, but if you don't control the pair, right, the ratio, when you're being devalued overnight, they double their productivity and you get the same amount of money or less, because you're being inflated, you're being devalued when they're just sucking the productivity out of you without having to build anything. And now when you fast forward 10, 15, 20 years, they already understand the big war is going to be whoever, quote unquote, wins Africa is going to be the one that's going to be the next superpower. Because even China, to some extent,
they already set up shop.
Exactly. And the population is moving to that middle class, which is the same problem. So now they have to relocate because the cost is being so high now. They have to relocate to like neighboring country like Vietnam, Laos.
Dude, Americans better wake the hell up, because what we had on everybody was the reserve currency and the education. Now the education's been redistributed via the internet, and now the money's getting redistributed through crypto. So unless you guys go out and start innovating or like doing something, all the smart billionaires have left or are leaving. Like, I'm not trying to shit on America. I love America. This is home to me.
I think the world landscape is just going to change.
Right. It's going to become a dynamic world economy.
Yes.
Right.
It's going to be more fair, because it's just evening the playing field to make it fair for everybody to actually compete, not the fake competition where it's like we got to beat you ass.
Manufactured consent is not competition, my man.
Exactly. It's like we compete, but then when I start beating you, you're like, oh, now you're kind of like sabotage.
Not really. Stop playing.
Exactly. It's only competition when you're winning. When you don't, then it's like, what the hell? And then here's the biggest problem they don't understand. And Elon Musk already figured that out a long time ago. This is what's going to kill everything else. It's actually a very, very aging population. And before America, Europe is first. Dude, they're fucked. I hate to say, I have family there too, but it's bad because they got all the nightmare all at once, from the COVID, slow GDP, even worse than America, negative interest rate, which they already have. Like I just tell people all the time, that's why you see DXY flying like that. When push comes to shove, America's going to be like, fuck you, Europe. You're on your own. I'm raising my shit.
I agree with that.
You need the help. You the one fighting the war over there.
Russia and China's forcing that. They're putting to put tension between the U.S. and like the NATO, basically.
Yeah, look, DXY is winning right now for the war. They don't even get it because they got to buy all the weapons. They're in fear over there. And then America knows that,
So this takes, this article that Wales has up kind of takes it a step further and kind of talks a little bit about how, this WEF is going to basically, they already have a fucking plan, right? They already have a plan for everybody. They have a solution to this. The problem's going to be like crunch on credit lines. It's going to be people like the CEO coming out and saying, we don't need SWIFT anymore. And then if they can control the CBDC, they can manipulate the supply and stuff. That's what gives fixed supply assets like the T-share rate and like the Bitcoin like an advantage over that system. And like, so what it's going to effectively do is it's going to be the poor population in these developed countries are going to accept the CBDC because it'll be introduced through a means of giving it out for free in the beginning.
Yep.
And then the restrictions will start to come in waves.
They give you the freemium, right? And then at the end, they want to play you with the...
And the biggest issue I have is like the point where they say, all right, we're not going to let you convert this on the blockchain into HEX or into Bitcoin or something like that. We're not going to allow
let you use it. That's why all that shit is a moot point. They're going to try, right?
So then eventually what you're going to have is individuals saying, I only accept HEX, I only accept ETH, I only accept Pulse, I only accept Bitcoin, I don't accept, or I only accept USDC, or I feel like USDC is the fallback if the Fed coin doesn't work, for example.
Yeah, no, it will be because it to some degree has a little bit more freedom than the Fed coin, because the Fed coin, literally you'll go to certain place, they're gonna tell you can't buy shit with that. It will just be no.
Potentially, yeah. It depends on how it develops, because if the true power does get decentralized in the way that I think it's going to happen, then you're literally going to have nation states competing for citizens, meaning they're going to have to be careful with how and when they restrict. And what you're going to get is crazy border. Sometimes the borders will be open in one country, then they're going to go down in another country, and it's just going to be a constant game of musical chairs over who can get the most citizens. I swear, it's going to be crazy. But here's the thing: is like us that are using sovereign cryptos, we're the ones that has really the ultimate control in this.
Yes, if you don't squander what you have, very important, because you only get one. You see, how many times we've seen people not understanding what they own and then squandering it all away. This is what I see, and I see from the timing, from again reading again the book by Ray Dalio and then the latest video that he had. And I'm not trying to be pessimistic, but again, it's just math and what I see data, right? The number one commodity, especially like in crypto for network effect, right, is the people, the bag holders, the people
user adoption. Period.
So I'm looking at where is the massive population and how old is the population, because people don't understand. It doesn't just move a little bit. It's a cliff. And I saw this very powerful document. Elon Musk was talking about it. It's like we don't have a population problem. That's a myth. Actually, we're about to go deflationary hard in population, because things comes in scales. Like, for example, the baby boomers in the class, it's going to be a big cliff because they were the biggest rise at the time when they came in the 60s and whatever, but they will see the biggest class to retire all at once. And unfortunately, at some point, the biggest class to expire all at once. Mm-hmm. And this is the reason why it's going to end up doing like a 1, 2, 3, where China is gonna pass up America in terms of GDP, just because, again, they just have more people. It's just math. You know what I mean? They're gonna get to that. Europe is really, really the one at risk, because, like I said, the economy is not doing well. They don't really create anything. They just print. They're already in negative territory, right? The inflation is going crazy. Somebody was putting in the chat here, which is true. A fucking euro used to be 1.3x of a US dollar. They just lost 30%. That's massive. It's almost like third world country levels. You know what I mean? Like how I was talking about, hey, we lost 50%. Like they lost. Yes, it took what, 6 months to a year, but they lost.
It took a little while, but still, that's pretty fast for the economy.
For how powerful they used to be.
Yeah, for a developed economy, that's fast, bro.
Yeah, and there's no reason to think that it's gonna stop, because now it's like a cascade liquidation. Now you add the fact that things are not getting better. They're gonna have to print more. Aging population, okay? Average population of Europe is very, very high, bro. Average population, Africa, India, Indonesia, it's like 19, 21. Over there, it's like 40 some. And on top of that, the people who are actually producing are even older than that. The expertise is about to be gone. And to top it all off, it's not like the United States to some extent, where there's still the little myth of, and I was one of them, land of opportunity, come here, work hard, blah, 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 because, they love the dollar or whatever. So you get that new blood flow, still people coming in.
Yeah, they don't got that.
Europe doesn't have that like they used to have. Like my family go to, I'm going to go to Europe. Now it's like, nah, I'm going to go US or I'm going to go Asia. You know what I mean? So they don't get that new blood coming in. As the people are aging, the next 10 years, 20 years is going to be very, very bad. You know what I mean? That's why you see China investing in Africa, Russia doing all the sorts of India, because they know because with blockchain, it's about head count. Mm-hmm. Whoever gets that It's really, really, really going to make a difference. I wouldn't be surprised. I know it sounds breaking news. I wouldn't be surprised if 20 years from now, Europe is going to be a third world country. I know it sounds crazy, but in the balance of probability, with, again, less people, less expertise, diminishing return.
That's something
right.
that. Do you know who Anton Creel is? You ever heard of him?
No, but go ahead. But the rapid,
He's
gonna
a
go
hedge
hyper.
fund. He's a hedge fund type guy. He worked for Goldman and other large organizations like that, and then went off and created his own trading courses and stuff with a group of other super successful, dare I say, 100 mil plus, probably billionaires. I don't even know. They managed 2 billion, I think, back in the day. But the point here is that he was calling for because he's from London, right? And he came from poverty and over there and made something of himself in the markets. And then now he left the UK and now he's in Singapore and they do, courses over the internet. And it's just funny because he's talking about this stuff that you're talking about right now about how much pain Europe's in and how much they don't have, they don't have any leverage on anything anymore. They've lost everything.
Head count is huge. Again, I'm gonna talk crypto talk because most viewers understand that the head count is so huge because you need the bag holders as you accelerate the printing and the inflation. If you got the bag holders and the people coming in and working hard for that worthless thing that keeps devaluating, to some extent, it creates a bit support. But when you don't have the people and all you have is printing, because rapid, basically a deflationary of headcount, rapid deflationary of people actually producing real goods and services, because what is blockchain? Like Richard says, just accounting. They just print. Now you know better than Venezuela. I've said this many, many times. United States prints literally 10 times, 20 times more than Venezuela. The reason why we don't get the hyperinflation is because we have a lot of bag holders, the rest of the world. When everything crashed, they buy the dollar. So it creates bid support. That's why DXY can rise up like that. It's no big deal because everybody else is fleeing their other shit. So it's like a Bitcoin dominance, right? It will just push the thing back up like we have seen, which actually restore purchasing power. So we lost a bunch due to 15 trillion of printing. But now we just restore some of that purchasing power all the way back. The last time DXY was this high, because it's a ratio basket of currency, was 2002. That's crazy. They just reloaded. They can print another 10 trillion. It's going to be no big deal because they literally reloaded the DXY level. That's why I say it's slowing down. It might peak. It might start trending back down a little bit. So they have another ammo when there's another crisis and they need to print money. Other countries, and especially Europe, dealing war and whatever, they don't have that luxury. So what's going to happen is things just going to get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And with the rapid aging of the population, it's just going to accelerate everything else. So when they keep printing, which is the last thing they can do, it's really going to go into hyperinflation territory like Venezuela, because you have less and less bag holders. You just lost 30% of your purchasing power against the dollar. You're about to get even weaker and weaker and weaker. And that's just going to accelerate everything else as a domino. Because if you try to raise rates, which they're trying to do now, it's going to increase even more of the crisis. So they're literally in a trap. And who knows when that war is going to stop. And they're at the mercy of Russia. Make no mistake. They're talking shit, but they need to buy the resource from them. And Russia's smart to say, hey, we only take rubles. You know what I mean? This is why their currency is flying back up. So when you combine all those things, and if they don't fix their relationship with some of the African countries that they used to get all these free resources from, because we basically build them, they literally have nothing left. Nothing left. Like, I'm talking about poverty at a level where it's just going to be hyper concentration. Forget the 1%. It's going to be the 0.001%. The only family that, like for them in French, you're only going to know, like, okay, the Louis Vuitton, Hermes, whatever, like the big companies. In Germany, you have like maybe the car companies and whatever, but everybody else is just going to be poor. And those people, they don't care because, they travel the world, so it doesn't really matter. And then it's going to go high level of socialism again, and then they're going to say wealth redistribution, and then guess what? The rich guy is just going to leave, which is going to take even more capital away. I mean, do you see what I'm saying? It's just going to be a snowball effect.
Yeah, the West turned into the East, and the East turned into the West. It's just a changing of the guard.
Not understanding that if we don't go back to literally attracting the new people coming in, not playing these politics of, we keep the people out, blah, blah, blah. Well, you're forgetting how this game works. You forget what actually made America this great. It's all about, it's just people don't understand. It's the biggest myth. They make it look like, we don't want the people here. When it's like, no, without the people coming in here and be the bag holder and work hard and believe in the dream, this shit doesn't work. Now I get it. It's like a club, because you guys know I like to party, right? Sometimes the club is empty, but you have to keep people at the door. You have to make it look like the club is bumping. You know what I mean? Well, so people want to come, make the big line, and then you let them in. You on the table, you got to pay that. When we know, like, dude, there's a bunch of promoters over there. Nobody's really in the club. You know what I mean? They just put people there to make it look like it's busy, but it's not until it actually gets busy. But when you play that game too much, people say, you know what? Fuck all that. $100 to get in? Yeah, you know, I'm good. I'm going to go to the bar over there. I'm going to go to, you know, where I'm actually taken care of. Or even the regular club, the prices are crazy. They don't show you love. I'm going to go to the club that show me love. You know what I mean? They give me shout outs. You know what I mean? Like, it just get to a point people are just going to pack up and leave. And that's what's starting to happen.
Well, now I know why they're pumping NFT so hard. If you can get payment with all the data attached that you need as a company, the cost savings of that, in addition to a payment cost that is lowered, whatever that means, you just said the same thing twice, and the overall productivity boost we can expect if we do this well, that's the real goal here.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
So there you go. They're going to try to find a way to tie in NFTs into CBDCs, and I think that the worst thing that could happen is that they backdoor their way into USDC because BlackRock now is the asset manager for you.
Oh, yeah. And they give the key to BlackRock. The moment they say, hey, you're going to be able to do all the managing and the trading, it was game over. Same thing with Fidelity. They're just getting that ready. I think they just want to, they're going to do like what you said, that we saw time, like it goes down, 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 and then all at once. Yeah. And the all at once moment comes in, they're just going to be like, don't worry, we got the new coin here for you. It's coming. There's no way out. The thing is trapped. It's mathematically fucked. Okay,
yeah, there's no other way.
Yeah. It's not even an if, it's a when. It's a mathematically.
Yeah. And this is what I'm trying to get people to understand is that this is why this is that point in time where you need to be hustling, not retiring. Right? You need to be accumulating as much crypto as possible because you don't know when the dollar's time is up. Because the day when that comes, there's not going to be a warning. There's not going to be a knock on your door saying, hey, bro, you got 15 minutes. It's not even going to be none of that.
Done.
You're just done. That's it. That's it. So you got to be ready. You can't get ready after the fact. You got to be ready already.
Exactly. And I hate to be pessimistic or whatever, but the way it also works, if you guys know about those who know about the dollar milkshake theory, it's set up in a way where the detonation happens on the outskirts. Imagine like a castle where it's like playing chess. And like I told you guys, I play chess, not checkers, right? The dollar is designed in a way where the dollar is kind of like king, and then they're going to see the outskirt of the castle and the wall falling down before it comes to get the king. In other words, if you, no offense, if you're in a third world country, if you're in Europe, if you are in some of those other places, it's going to hit you there first. So what Wells just said, you can multiply that by literally 5 times, 10 times the speed, because before it comes to get for the dollar, it's going to come get you there first. Like how, again, Europe got hit, the yen, all these other ones, because dollar is designed in a way, kind of like the Bitcoin dominance, where it's like, it's going to crash over there first before it comes crash for the dollar. People sell riskier assets to our country, flee to the dollar, and then the dollar then goes down. The same way you saw the euro plummet first due to war and what the hell is going on. And then people flee in that currency to go buy dollar to try to protect themselves. And ultimately, when they keep printing and printing and printing, then the dollar gets hit. So you need to be very, very, very like hyper progressive. You know, those of us who are in the US, okay, you have a little bit more time. But the rest, bro, you better hustle.
Yep. I mean, it's just time. And you know, this is, people just got to understand it's just going to happen one day.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. Why does it happen to those countries first? Because there's something that people, and this is my problem with this whole milkshake theory crowd. Like, it sounds cool, you know, whatever, but people need to understand why.
Yep.
I don't want to hear about your theory. We need to know the methodologies, the whys. Why do you think? Now, here's the why. The why is because these countries keep borrowing in dollars.
Yes.
The more they keep borrowing in dollars, the less relevant their currency becomes.
Yes.
That's just the nature of the beast.
Footnote, very important. They've been purposely forced
100%
to borrow in dollar. That's why those literally, if you watch the economic hitman and if you understand some of the tools that they use, it's literally criminals. Things like the World Bank, things like FME, all those little programs. Oh, we're gonna help you, and this, fuck you. You're not. It's a loan. It's never free money. Ask Venezuela, ask Argentina, ask. It's purposely force you to debt via enslavement, and then you do what you're told. If not, they're gonna say, okay, you know what? That debt that you owe us, that we told you can pay back whenever in 10, 20 years. Okay, you want to talk shit? Pay now. How are you gonna do it?
Right now.
Yeah. And they purposely wreck you in dollar, which also devalue in purchasing power. So quick math. Let's say you borrow 50K, 100K, and you're starting to pay it back. But then all of a sudden, as you are paying it back, your currency plummet by 50%, 80%. Now, the rate at which you're able to pay it back also automatically slows. Or just to keep the same rate, you need double the productivity. Let's say your paying was $1,000 a month to pay back the loan. Okay, and we'll do easy math. All of a sudden, your currency just plummeted by half. You still need to pay in fucking dollars. Now you need $2,000, so to speak, to pay back the monthly payment just to keep up with the payments. That's the thing that really, really fucks you up and puts you in that biggest slavery. And for those who understand,
makes sense why all those countries are having all the kids, huh?
Exactly. It's designed like a currency in where it's like it's hyper leverage. So in other words, kind of like you got the Bitcoin or you got the Ethereum at the base layer, right? And you got all this other shit coins, and then your currency is treating as one of those shit coins.
That's because it is.
Exactly. And then when the crash comes, they literally just exit out of the shit coin first, murder that before their primary currency gets murdered first. So it's literally designed in a way that even the infrastructure is designed in a way that they can see the crash coming over there first before it comes to get them. So they'll exit, they'll murder you, they'll sacrifice you the same way Cyprus got sacrificed. You know, remember when the first time European Union went bad and they say, hey, bank run, they say, hey, you got to go. Because when it's showtime like that, they ain't no friends. They ain't no, oh, we together. Fuck that. You're the scapegoat. Yes.
Yep.
Well said, Big Z.
The way it works is that, you know, over time, it's just the economies get built on those currencies too.
Exactly.
Right. So it's like putting somebody on a drug. Really, is what it is.
And you don't even know, and they make it look. And the fucked up part is frustrates me. They make it look like they're doing you a favor. That's the crazy part that blows my mind.
Yeah. Because they come in with the whole
we're
narrative. It's all about the
look
narrative.
At what we did for you, and they brag about it too. They get the articles, they get the bragging right. It's like those crooks that used to brag about giving away for charity when we know they just do it to escape tax.
Yep.
I'm not saying they all do it. But we know what we're talking about.
Well, 90% of them do.
But exactly.
And
look at what I did,
like
and blah, blah, blah. When we know 90% of the money doesn't go where we think it's gonna go.
No,
it's just
that's the reason I don't donate to charities at all. I know that money ain't going to none of the crap.
Yeah, you do a little bit of research, you find out the same motherfuckers on the board of the charity, next thing you know, they just control the money.
That's it. It's just a slush fund.
Slush fund, baby. That's it.
That's it. Now let's get to the topic of discussion, the main event.
Whew.
Because as you guys can see, these two charts here, you've never had. Now this is showing us all the increases in the t-shirt rate. This one is just post big payday.
Yes.
Okay. Just a different vantage point. This one's just histogram. This one is with a line, but it's the same data. But as you guys can see, biggest one ever happened, big payday.
Yep.
Or right before it.
Yep.
And then you have.
It's coming. I think because the day just hasn't ended yet. Because you.
No. This is my chart. I haven't updated it yet, so you're not gonna see it here anyway. But when you see it, it's gonna be up here.
Yes, sir. It's insane.
All the way up here, in the middle of this line, 755 hex. That's the delta. That's the increase for anybody that's interested in knowing. Now let's go to Hex Daily Stats.
Yeah. There's a lot of cool quick math to unpack from there. And then please in the chat, if you don't understand, ask questions. We're going to do it slow because I'm going to go deep today. And this is literally why I said HEX is so superior. Again, the average fool doesn't even have an idea. Like this, it's just inflationary forever. They don't even understand. It's a balanced system. I even dare to say, by the time I'm done today, I'm going to say a crazy statement.
Well, look, you got the increase in the t-shirt rate, which is this first setting, right?
Yeah.
10,000.1 or 10,001.1, whatever.
Well, it's just a setup from the beginning because it started at 10,000. So yeah.
Correct. Then you have big payday. right, which is 4,892.
Mm-hmm.
Then you had what was this last month?
Mm-hmm.
239.
Mm-hmm.
January 2022, 236. Last year, April.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I remember this one.
Mm-hmm.
230 hectares. That was the biggest one at that point in time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure that one got restaked for 10 and 15 years, if I
Yeah.
recall.
No, but watch this. Watch this, right? Mind blowing right here. First thing, quick math. I want everybody to pay attention. It's crazy. You can see just by this data, shout out to the person that created this at this website, you can actually see T-share acceleration happening right now live. And I'm going to explain it because you can see the rate of change happening, right? The month of so when we did the 201 to 230, if you guys are looking at it, this was also 2022. That's January because you got to go based on those dates. The one from April 6, 2021, from that to go to January, roughly, right? It's like 7 months. Okay. And then since then, we had that January 3rd, first of all, the one that looks slightly below 200. Then we have January 16. Then we have April. So you get to see how the rate of increase of 200 plus points is no longer every 6 to 7 months. It shifted half to about 3 months. You see what I'm saying? So the rate of change in the acceleration is happening faster and faster and faster. It used to happen every almost a year because it was very slow, big payday. Then every 6 months or so. And then after that, it's like 2-3 months. There's two almost back to back. Then after that, it happened 2 months later. And then literally, like Wells just said, the last big increase was like last month. So it's happening faster and faster and faster. And mind you, this is funny. Nobody knows exactly how many of those babies are out there still.
None.
There's many
We can
more.
try. Let's see.
So if you were to put it into a plot based by time and increase, because I remember days when we used to barely go up like 5 points, 6 points, if that. It was like crazy. Now it's like every other day it's like 20, 30 points. But then every now and then you get those big jumps because those are all also pre-big payday stakes. Okay.
Yeah.
The one that ended was less than 5,000 T-shirts. I know it's a lot, but in the big scheme of things, it's not a lot.
Back then, that wasn't a lot.
Exactly. But because it's pre-big payday, it's loaded with the bonus. It has an insane ROI. You know what I'm saying? It was something like 50 something percent, 49 to 50 something percent plus big payday. What do you think happens when those, and I have some of them, when those massive stake with 65% APY start to come out? Like, it's going to be insane. And it compounded each other. So just kind of a fun fact, just to see what is T-share acceleration, is a rate at which we get those big chunk is happening faster and faster. Now it's every couple months. Soon it's going to be every month. Then it's going to be every 2 weeks. Like before price appreciation, the rate today means that a T-share just went up basically like almost $75 more. I mean, we're almost 10 cents, but let's just say ballpark, let's say 65, 70. And that's before price appreciation. Then when the price appreciates, it's a force multiplier because it's in hex term. Then the price double, which now means 70% increase becomes 150. And then it's like, when we reaccelerate back to 50 cents, forget $10,000 T-shirt. That thing's going to be like 15 grand.
So,
just like that.
It's gonna just like become a super turbo, right?
Exactly. And now it's moving in tandem because the acceleration never slows down. Again, it's called T-share acceleration for you. Remember, guys, it's supposed to mimic compounding. It's not like it goes up crazy and then it kind of slows down. It never does. Never. Ever. Only gets more faster and faster and faster. So then, like we just saw, 200-300 points becomes what? 700 points. Now 700 points.
Wait, Kareem, if the average stake length comes down, that's when you start to see a deceleration in the share rate.
To some extent, yes. But since that thing keeps,
but you're talking about 10 to 15 years of time for that to play out.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So, but you got to now we're looking at like 50-year windows of time. So in theory, in essence, it is really only going to go up for at least the next 15 years. That's why people getting in now are at such an advantage over like our kids getting into the share system in like 25 or 30 years, where there will be the potential for it to come back down a little bit on the average.
Yes, but what they need to understand is that, again, it is a force multiplier. They're underestimating the hex price as
100%.
Because already as what it is, it's already very expensive. Most people don't like right now. It's about almost 1,800, 2K.
Well, that's the beauty of why, you know, like I made a slide in my deck that was basically saying, like, when have you, any of you guys watching this stream, ever owned 1 trillion of anything in your entire life?
Exactly.
You know, it's like there will still be meat on the bone at 1 billion shares and at 1,000,000 shares and at 1,000 shares.
This is actually also what makes me so bullish about the HEX price, because that's one of the gem I want to talk about in terms of liquidity today. People have no idea how many HEX has been sold and literally removed out of circulation just over the last like 2 weeks. By the time we pull up the number, it's gonna blow people's mind. It's crazy. But it's like not only is getting scarce and scarce and scarce, the long-term believer are obviously locked in because their T-share preservation is also now exponentially growing, because as the share rate increase and box people out for the new entry, the people staying in the pool interest rate is actually going up. Let me say it again because people might have missed it. When the share rate increase over and over, as the rotational stakes are coming in and out, those people are getting diluted, and we're benefiting from their dilution just by staying in the pool, even if we're still clocking 6.1 hex per t-shirt, because now there's less t-shirt in the pool while we still have our old t-shirt. Therefore, this is how we went from 35% APY, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. I got one mistake, my long-term dream account's doing 68% daily. Like, it's insane. At some point, it's going to, and that's before big payday. With big payday, it gets even more. And don't even get me started when those things start to expire 10 years from now, the share rate increase from that, it's going to be insane. But just the sheer volume of the accumulated days as the payout per T-share stays what it is or slightly goes up over time, as those people are leaving the pool forcefully because they're being diluted, our APY is also accelerating because we're benefiting from that acceleration. And since we're the long-term believer, the long-term stakers, what that does for the system, which is very powerful, is that it limits the rate of HEX being dumped. In other words, those who are just doing short-term stake, getting the interest, dumping the interest, and restaking the principal, they're getting less and less amount of HEX to dump because they're being basically diluted, because that's what the system is designed to do. It says longer pays better. It didn't say shorter pays better. So now their value as selling pressure is also exponentially getting lower and lower to the point where they get irrelevant. And that, don't even get me started with those who are not even staked and then they panic and they just got washed out and then they just literally became like the exit on that dump that we had. It was like, I did the math roughly. It's like almost 1.5 billion HEX that got removed.
So if you guys are following what Kareem's saying, he's saying that every single day that you're in the system and the longer you're in, you're getting paid more every single day. And the share rate is trying to revalue the network based on the number of new users coming in that's increasing the share rate. So effectively, if what you own is continually paying you more every day, that's valuable and that's increasing in value. Thusly, the system has to recalibrate the share rate so that it's an even and balanced system and it can't be gamed, and it can revalue these T-shares that are more valuable because they're paying you more of something, right?
Yes.
So it's a self-fulfilling system. It's a
Exactly.
complete system, and you don't need a head of government to control the levers and knobs because it's doing it all on its own within the code.
Absolutely. It's so perfect. And it's a perfect time. I'm gonna drop the craziest statement of the day. Like, clip this, is like HEX basically with this system has no net inflation. Let me say it again. There's basically no like what I call net inflation, because everything that's being inflated is being counterbalanced with the share rate increase. So in other words, it's a self-balancing system. We don't, like Axis perfectly just said, we don't have to worry about Federal Reserve. We don't have to worry about humans making mistakes and, you know, like overprinting, then over raising rates, and then playing all this little dance up and down.
A lot of those decisions that are getting made on certain metrics that have been created, but then those metrics themselves are also falsified. So the data that they're using to try to control the money flows and try to make the system stable, the Fed system stable, is constantly in flux and it's manipulated. But what HEX does is it takes away all those external real world factors and erases them out, and it's not even part of the equation. All that matters is oncoming users and T-shares in the system, period. That's it. And that's in a way, that's a self-reflective system that it will reflect like a mirror back onto the world a more stable and secure economy.
Yes. And it's self-balancing, because if I were to use the two tools that the Federal Reserve use and then basically compare it to the HEX tools, which are very simple, it's like as we quote unquote print money, or AKA give inflation, yield every day, automatically we are quote unquote raising interest rate by raising the cost of the T-share via the share rate, to make it like, okay, you're getting all this excess coin, but we're gonna make the cost of the basically the money printer go higher, kind of like what we call the cost of capital in traditional market, so that we can kind of quote unquote prevent malinvestment. And the thing just happens automatically, literally, like the well bot does it, right? As soon as the thing gets paid, boom, share rate increase automatically. So that's why I say it's almost no net inflation, because it's self-balanced itself. It gives you on one hand and it takes away on the other hand. In other words, it gives the guy that wants the short-term gratification, and he rewards the other guy that wants to delay gratification on the other hand. Self-balancing. That's why you don't have to do nothing. It just literally does it itself. That's why it can keep printing. We can keep printing higher APY, and the price can just continue to go up, because the short-term people are being exhausted over time, and the long-term people who are already rich or wealthy, who most likely are not going to sell because they are obviously staking longer and they are being rewarded with a higher APY, are literally basically acting like the support for the
And even though those people that are staked super long are getting more enriched than the guys that are staking short, it's still protecting both people, because the asset price is still going to raise in dollar terms versus that, so that no matter what, there's a positive outcome, as long as you don't shoot yourself in the foot and sell when you shouldn't. That's really the only thing that can hurt you, is yourself and HEX. Like if you're selling something that's got this kind of tremendous value and can create this, like it's real on-chain productivity is what it is. You don't have to hook in a Bitcoin miner or an Ethereum miner. It's very low overhead.
It does the rebalancing by itself. Literally, it's
Right.
just, it's magnificent. I mean, literally, it get to a point where, again, it becomes predictable to some extent, but it's literally creating a fair, balanced system. You know what I mean?
What becomes unpredictable is when the US dollar price goes up during the bull runs, is when things get crazy, because the user adoption increases at such a rate that the entire system gets kind of out of sync and has to revert to the mean. So what we've been doing for the last 11 months is we had a huge run up on HEX price in dollar terms, and now the system just had to come back and reset to the mean, which is where the share rate growth is. And then once it can go under and a little over, a little under, a little over, and it's like a sine wave, and it'll try to find parity with it. And as it does, users will see dollar value increasing, and that's when people start to enter, because they start seeing what they know and understand, which is dollar increase up, dollar up.
Exactly. And then the same way how we tell people, where it's like, hey, when you're in the system and you're getting all the excess daily payout plus penalty, and the price is trending down, whatever, but you're just stacking more and more HEX at a staggering rate. And then when the price goes back to where you were before, all of a sudden, not only you get all your value back in terms of your equity, but then you're getting all of the extra for all of the time you were in the market collecting that extra yield. Well, guess what? The same thing applies to the T-share rates too, because it's accelerating faster and faster. But because we're in a small downtrend, you're looking at, oh, it's still less than $2,000 per T-share, but then literally the price can literally quickly just, go back to 30 cents, which is what, a more easy 3x plus from now. All of a sudden, a T-share is back to like what, $6,000 plus. And then by the time it goes back to previous all-time high, we want to be talking about 10K T-share. It's going to be way more than that, because at the same time,
right, and don't forget to tell them, Kareem, the reason why that's even possible in the first place is because we've seen this huge liquidity crunch, which makes it so much easier to pump price higher.
Yes,
we've lost 80% of the liquidity pool, meaning it's how much money of a factor. It's 5 times easier to push price up than it was a month ago. 5 times easier, which means you need 5 times less users. 6 times. Sorry, I'm not a math guy, but you get the point.
Yeah.
So 6 times easier to pump price, and you need 6 times less people. So it's a function. It's a function of a square based on Metcalfe's law, which is a function of the users.
Exactly. And this is actually breaking news. If Richards is watching, he asking that funny question, like, how do we get to find a way to short HEX on on chain? I just got a great idea, which is basically it's been happening for us, but we just never realized because it's a similar mechanism. By removing the liquidity, as those people are being crashed out and hit by slippage, when they come back in and they buy back FOMO, they're buying back whatever's left. And they are forced to push the price up because they're getting less and less HEX. And as the price goes up as a function of square, the money that they're putting is getting less and less, which basically acts like a short squeeze almost, because you're forced to buy back up the higher price, which is with less available coin. So your money is buying less coin. So the system literally...
And you need more to get the shares because the shares keep going up. So
exactly.
They're working against each other.
It's doing the short squeeze. It's insane.
It's a beautiful thing.
It's a beautiful system. And well, if I may, if you can go to from the chat, Uniswap V2, this is fun. And then we go to Uniswap and then pull up the pair, the HEX pair, whether the one for the 1% and the one for the 0.1%. I want to show people just what has happened liquidity wise the last literally week or so. It's gonna blow people's mind. So which one is this? Is the 0.3%, right? Let's start with this one. Go to the removes, please. Let's start calculating those just for fun. I want people to realize, especially the past 2-3 days, especially when we had that big bump.
1.5 million.
Yeah, no, in HEX, because I'm gonna show completely for people to make it like, yeah. There you go. So first one here, the 9.6 mil, right? You see all those, and then go to page 2. I'm gonna show people roughly, and then again 1.2, 1.6, page 3, because I want to see right around when we had that big dump.
7 million.
7 mil here continues. I think it's around like page 5 or 6. But
if you go up and pull up the TVL graph, you'll see it literally on the chart.
So right around here it starts. That's why day 4.
Look at this TVL graph. And this is the tame one. The other two liquidity pools are vertical down moves.
Oh, it gets better. So when you start kind of like there for 4 days are going below, which is right around that big dump, you can see right. You start to ramp up.
26
13,
million.
13,
wow.
24, 26. Continue. Next page. Watch this. It goes bigger. I did a rough math.
Wow.
It was almost 2 billion HEX.
Holy shit.
21, and this is just one liquidity pool. When you go to the
25 million.
10, we'll look at the other 2 liquidity pools too.
13,
and it
10,
continues
10,
next
20.
page.
Jeez.
So this is yeah. So the guys, if you don't understand what he's saying, these are HEX that was sitting in the pool, the buckets that you could trade USDC or Ether into to pull out the HEX, and this is all that HEX is being taken out of the pools, leaving very little left.
Yes, by
for people to take out.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and this is all the same account.
Yes. So for those who are new, okay, free gem number 3. Okay, this is actually how big wallet wells, super shocking about this is how they trade. Okay, they don't never market dump. The thing that you see most of the time is just dolphins and idiots, and every now and then, yes, that Wells number 12, whatever, that was doing his thing. But mostly what they do is they provide what's called liquidity, which you're seeing right here. Because what has happened the past week, I mean, literally, it was a sausage fest. I mean, literally, the pool was making almost $100,000 a day. Just let that sink in. During that big crash, the volume was insane. It was $80,000 to $100,000 a day. Imagine just being maybe 10, 20% of that liquidity pool. You're making $20,000 a day. You almost rival to some extent what a nice daily payout share rate is if you're there. So number one, you're making money on that just by providing liquidity. Okay. Number 2, you got to remove the liquidity, which is actually how you accumulate HEX, right? Because you have your USDC, you have your HEX. Then the people come in and sell, take the USDC, get wrecked by the slippage because the 1% pool was even more insane. The 1% pool was one that's making the most money. And then it creates this imbalance like this. Way less USDC because the seller took it and way more HEX. And then when the balance goes from this to that, like this, then they remove the liquidity. So now all of a sudden, they're getting millions and millions and millions of HEX, pennies on the dollars. If Wells goes back briefly to the HEX chart with the volume, HEX USDC, you'll get to see there was that big candle on the day, which was around like 4 or 5 million. If you go to maybe the HEX USDC on Uniswap V2 volume, it will tell you it's like roughly, pull up the volume chart, right around that big wick. It was something around like $4 million. Now, here's the crazy part. It's in dollars. The wick went all the way back to 3.6 cents. $4 million at 4 cents average. That's over 1 billion HEX. So those people are getting wrecked by slippage, 1% plus. As the price goes down, have to sell way more HEX and get way less USDC. Massive accumulation. So big money is getting paid on a trading fee, $100,000 a day. massive accumulation over 1 billion hex. Actually, it's more like 2
How many
billion.
was that on that V2 chart for the volume for that day?
It was
4
about
million?
4 something million.
I got 3 other charts here. I got the V3 chart. So then you had an additional.
Oh yeah, please.
You had an additional 13 million on the Uni V.3.
Perfect.
You had an additional 10 million on the ETH pair, and you had an additional 20 million hex on the 1% pair. So you're looking at 60 to 70 million ish.
Exactly.
Right there in one move.
I was only looking at Uniswap V2. Thanks for reminding me. V2 is even bigger. So imagine billions of hex remove out of circulation, pennies on the dollar, because they removed, they're no longer here. That's one. Hundreds of thousands of dollars a day just in transaction fee, doing nothing, just literally chilling, and then just people just sell into it, not even paying a single transaction fee because they don't even pay nothing. You just you pay for the remove. That's about it. So you reaccumulate all of that, and then now, like we're talking about, like the kind of the short squeeze, because just leaving just enough. So when the people FOMO back in, they get the leftover hex that's there, which is literally the whatever we're seeing, the 7 million or whatever. So when people FOMO back in, they easily push the price back up. And at any time, right around launch or whatever, Godwell's been dormant for a while. Many other people, when they know Snapshot's going to happen, they're going to remove even more hex. And then with almost no money, we can pump it right back up 20 cents like nothing happened. And they'll be like, all right, the door is closed. You missed the fire sale. That's on you. So it's a combination of all of that. Almost all the pairs is
layers and layers and layers.
If we talk about $30 million worth of volume, I mean, it's almost 5 to 7 billion hex.
I just ran liquidity, like what it would cost to get the price to X price, and hold on, let me pull it up here on the side. But I'm looking to hex.com/liquidity. You can run a little liquidity calculator just to see kind of like what the price could do. So if you put in give me a number, a dollar value, market buy. Give me $1. I don't care. Pick
like
one.
$1 million.
1 million.
Yeah, just make it simple.
$1 million takes the price up 1.23x. Market buy. And I've seen a lot of these guys that sold the top that put in between $100,000 and $300,000. So you only need five of us hexicans to get it to 10.3 cents. You add $10 million on the FOMO. Now you're at 37 cents. Now, granted, there's going to be some sell pressure on the way up, so maybe you have that. So now you're looking at like low 20-cent hex. Yes. With $10 million of bid pressure. So it's really
and those people sell pressure, quote unquote, are getting literally decimated because again, they're losing their T-share at a rate of speed that's crazy because of their rotation stakes.
Super important key point right there, you guys. Say that again.
Huge. They're losing their T-share right now at an increasingly rapidly rate.
The sellers are.
The rotation. Yeah, the sellers are. And not only that, but because they sold, remember, they sold, which means they can't even buy back the T-share they used to have, even without the share rate increase because they sold. If you had literally 10 million hex, right, and you're getting X amount of T-share before share rate increase, and you sold half of that, that means you can only get half the T-share. Then you factor the fact that T-share rate just went up. So you get even less than that. Because what you sold, remember, this is true DeFi. You can only hurt the price once. Once you're done, once we remove those almost 8 to 9 billion hex altogether, that's no longer coming back. It's over. It's bye-bye.
Those liquidity pulls, guys, they're effectively market buys.
Yes. And this is also the reason why out of the blue, you see an increasing speed of out of the blue, 100 million hex, 600 million hex, starting to do massive rotation with crazy amount. Just keep pushing that share rate, pushing that share rate. It's not being so, it's just here to push share rate. So as people exit, we're literally just closing the door. And by the time we push the price back up, it's literally, it's a wrap. So you're getting, again, almost 10 billion hex out of the circulation. Quick math, just in terms of percentage, because people just need to understand what that means. If Wells goes back to HEX.VISION right now, total amount of hex staked in the entire fucking pool, 100,000 stakers almost, right? It's only about 59 million. We literally just took out 1/6, 1/6, almost the same amount of the share increase. We just took out 1/6 of the total amount of hex that's staked right now, which is insane, which we know most of the community, for the most part, excluding the OA, is primarily staked. I don't care if it's short-term, long-term, but just to kind of give you an idea of how much hex has been removed. And for those who forgot, all of that hex that also got sacrificed that no longer comes back. So it's so scarce right now.
You just had to do it. You just had to say it. Didn't
I had to remind people because they forgot because it's been so long. So even when we're talking about copies and this and that, you're copying something there's almost nothing there. There is almost nothing there. The big bar that you're seeing for tomorrow and whatever, a lot of them, they're just rotational stakes. They're one of those massive 100 million, 200 million hex that are just doing, 1 week, 2 week, 1 month, 30 days, whatever, like the one we just got today. And they're going to keep pushing the share rate at a massive level. What happens when they all start to become over 150 million? Quick math number 2. At 150 million, you maxed out bigger pays better, 10% bonus. That 10% is a big deal. That increased APY by 10% just for share size. So now, not only it's pushing share rate, yes, it's a short-term stake, but it's still getting the bigger pays better bonus because it's a massive amount of money. It's literally anything above 150 million is maxed out. So now it's like the acceleration is getting more and more insane. And by the time people realize it's too late, those who didn't stake, bye-bye. It's literally going to separate everybody else again. And then another year or two from now, the wealth some of those people who stake have versus the rest of the people, it's going to be so unfair. And then we're going to hear like, oh, you got lucky.
That's you guys that are in this stream right now are so far ahead of the game. It's not even funny.
It's not even funny. It's hilarious.
Like I told you guys when I came in here, I don't know if you knew this, Kareem. When I came in here, I was just off a call with the guy who used to work at the CME down in Chicago for 35 years, and he's trying to tell me to look at bond yields right now. Like, no, I'm like, no, I got better stuff to look at, bro. Yeah. Like I do that for him. You know,
like we're putting the jet fuel right now for my other favorite.
And it's like he's in Hex and stuff, and I'm just like, bro, there's only one real trade right now, right? And he doesn't. He just doesn't understand. It's so frustrating.
Yeah. Because some of those people, it's like, it's like this dilemma where sometimes because you think you're so smart, you're stopping yourself from learning because you don't see it. Because you feel
very common problem, right?
Yeah, it's being humble and then the wisdom, man. That's just what it is. That's why I separate smarts and wisdom, because sometimes you just need to really understand this. Because something went up 10,000x, you need to ask yourself, how did he do that?
Now,
and how is going to most likely do it again? I've never been this more bullish. It's crazy. It just
check this out. Check this out. It's literally 2.5 years and a couple days since Hex launched.
We're reloading right now. It's crazy.
Yeah. Right. So you got this big old stakes coming out at this point in time because it's really just after that first 2-year mark, right? So if you're looking at hold on, let me just expand this.
Yep. I'm just coming up tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm just thinking out loud, right? Like if you're looking at what's gonna happen over the next couple weeks, or even over the next few months, right? Yes. Just into 2023, what's gonna happen is you're just not gonna have that many stakes ending anymore.
Nope. Costs too much money. Less hex, less T-share. The cost is increasing. And fun fact number 4 or 5. I'm just having too much fun here. If you guys remember what Richard used to say, one of the beauty of Pulse Chain is we used to average, he said something around like $15,000 or $20,000 a day.
Oh, yeah.
Just in trading.
I was talking about that, bro. I was talking about just buying fees earlier, not even staking.
Yeah.
Just
us.
Just buying. Just buying.
That's insane. Let's imagine, right? Let's do quick math on that. $20,000, right? A day.
No. This is on the low side, bro.
Yeah, on the low side.
This is on the low side. This is on the low side.
Just in free.
Typically, you're doing 40 to 60K a day.
Yes. Now, and if you put the medium of that, let's say 50,000. Okay, 10 days, that's 500,000. 30 days, what's that? $1.5 million. Axis just said 1.5 million or 1 million buy literally make the price go 1.3x and some change. So it's like, and that was like 6 months ago. When Pulse Chain hits and we're getting near zero fees and people actually, even their little $100, go and buy some actual hex and remove it out of circulation, and it doesn't just go in Ethereum stupid gas fees, bro, the virality is going to be insane. 10,000, 100,000 people with $100 each, that's millions of dollars. Price only goes up. And we all know how much people like to buy when the price goes up. And everybody just keep removing hex out of circulation. It just creates a cascade. Not a liquidation, but a cascade, just buy. It's literally like how we get the fucking, like the, what's it called? The squeeze. We literally just, It's like it's not a short squeeze, but it's a staker squeeze. We're gonna come up with a new name with thought leaders. We call it the staker squeeze.
Word.
Just with the sheer amount. And by the way, that's what we do on a daily basis. I'm not even talking about new buyers. The fact that
that's just
Richard,
the people that know it exists.
and Richard headcounts increasingly accelerating. It's already at almost 230,000 users, $100,000 views. I mean, just the number just keeps going up and up and up and up and up. The documentary is about to be hopefully soon done. I mean, it's insane. The bullish divergence on the weekly chart is insane for those who watch it. I mean, it's just like, and DXY is starting to slow down a little bit, catching a breather. So it's like, bro.
This is as of a couple of days ago, right here. 302,000 current holders. This is from Hex Daily Stats, and this is current stake is 95,000. Yeah. But this is from a couple of days ago. You know it's going to be higher by now.
Look how undervalued we are. It's stupid. It's insane.
It's very insane.
And then the reason why I did my tweet with the DXY, monitoring that was again, remember what Richard said, which makes sense. You want to launch in the heart of the bear market. How do you know where the heart is? Well, the heart of the bear market is typically right after major capitulation and typically also signal stagnation. And then from here, we may not go up, but we stop going down. We go sideways and then we start going up. It's one of the beauty of why following the DXY is, because if people remember, and Wells got the perfect channel already there in blue. The previous one, when that motherfucker top, dude, this is the perfect chart. I couldn't get it. Dude, that's a screenshot. People need to screenshot it and literally tweet it. Watch this. You see the blow off top like a shooting star already done. This is when I did my tweet.
That one,
which is similar to the previous cycle.
You
see the fucking MACD is about to cross. You see the buying pressure slowing down. You know what I mean?
These are 5 days per candle too, so these are pretty serious moves. You don't just dismiss them.
Yeah, you on the weekly. Go back to that weekly that you had just a moment ago.
Oh, 8 days. Hold on, that's 8 days per.
Yeah. Look at that. I love this one because it perfectly pinpoint kind of where the top is, and it's about to cross. You see how it's way overbought, switching sides. We got inflation numbers coming up in the next 10 days, which is huge because for the first time we may have a decrease of what's called. I'm about to say the fancy word is second derivative. Let me use in simple English. Rate of change. In other words, we used to go 6%, 7%, almost 8% inflation month over month compounding. And then if we start to, for the first time, switch, meaning it's still going to inflate, but instead of constantly going up month over month, we start to go down. In other words, let's say we did 7.3, 7.6, 7.8, and then let's say next month in June, we do 7.2. That's a signal for the market. Because remember, market doesn't care about today. It's always future projection. Traders, that's what they do. So that will signal to the market, oh shit, inflation is still here, but it starts to slow down, that it has top. So the DXY will start to slow down and then go the other way, which could signal a bull run, not a bull market, a bull run, because it slows down. The same way happened in previous year, the same way if Wells go back to the 2021, it peaked like a shooting star, then it went sideways, and then it plummeted down. So I think we might peak, we might go sideways for like a month or two, and then September start to go down. But the simple fact that it peaked signal that we are very close to the heart of the bear market, which is the perfect time to launch. We're timing that bitch so perfectly, it's crazy. So we're literally gearing up, putting the shoes on, getting ready to be on the track. It couldn't get any more perfect. Everything is aligning right now.
What'll be interesting is that what happens if the dollar just keeps going?
Oh, that would be fucking dope.
It will if the Fed continues to put pressure on the system.
It could. I think it could go test that other, the 123. That was my
when you look at that yen, when you look at it versus the yen, that thing is just. It looks
Kareem,
like
I think Kareem's seeing like down this fall.
Yeah, no, I know.
Yeah.
But
I don't think the chat knows. I think that we're talking like 3 months, and Kareem's talking 7 to 8 months.
Yeah.
Because
I mean, we'll see.
Because I think because again it went parabolic. If you go back to just pull up on the daily. I want people to see the parabola. It really did like a shooting star. That's what I'm saying. If you just treat GXY like it was a chart, right? It looks like it blow off top. And my best friend always, never get me wrong, DMI. Look at DMI. It crossed orange. That was the top. I did the tweet because I needed my final signal, right? I checked everything. I check the MACD, but then DMI is always my guy. So
Yeah, look,
always,
my it's triggered short on my signal, right, for the daily.
exactly. And then for DXY, because it's so massive, it's so big, I do weekly DMI to make sure like it looks good. Then you pull up weekly. So boom. So it started to like, you see how the red peak and it started to go the other one. Now it's just decelerating. So it still prints, but it decelerate. This is a term that the Federal Reserve call, and Ray Dalio talk about it too. It's like it's a little bit of stagflation. In other words, they're still going to be printing, but they're slowing down the rate of change, the rate of printing. If we're printing 7 to 8%, we're trying to slow the nozzle a little bit. We're still printing, but we want to print maybe 5 and then 4 and then to kind of do like a controlled demolition. Remember what we used to talk about all the time? Because if they go 0, the whole fucking thing crashed and they're going to have to print trillions again and it defeats the purpose. So they just kind of like, imagine the big funnel, the nozzle is like fully blasted, and now they're trying to slowly, they're playing a dangerous game, but they're trying to slowly turn off the nozzle. And for big quote unquote traders or whatever, what you're looking for is a second derivative, the rate of change. And this is what DMI is very good at, because you can see the buying has stopped. It went. If you literally were to chart that fucking thing that you're looking at right now, the moment the blue line is about to cut, it's gonna plummet, because you've seen it before. It does the zig, 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 and the moment if you were to literally treat like a chart, the moment the line, the upper trend line is broken,
it picks a direction.
Exactly, and you can see already the intensity. The red has already peaked, and it started to go the other way. This is the reason why I say this might be the top, because it pumped a lot for a while, like literally since May. It just went on a rip, and then they can't let the whole thing collapse too fast. And this is why it's a combination of multiple things, technical and macro, which is why I said the final confirmation is going to be the June 10th number. If Federal Reserve see, okay, inflation has peaked, it's still here, but it's starting to slow down, it's going to justify why they're slowing down. If it does not, then Wells is fucking right. We're going to 120. But if it peaks, which the rumor has it might, because they raised so much and we hit almost deflationary, because everybody else and their mom from the other currency were running to the dollar, creating basically the bag holders that we needed to buy the fucking thing. Now they feel comfortable about printing, because the whole thing that was here inflating got bought by the bag holder because they were too busy running their own fucking currency. You know what I mean?
It's interesting we're talking about this, because it just so happens that a headline came out earlier today. Not quite sure what the source is, but the claim is that the Fed is going to start quantitative tightening tomorrow.
There you go.
Which is interesting, because it's not what we're seeing when we're looking at yield spreads.
There you go. Remember, Hexagon, pump fake number 1, rule number 1. Don't fucking believe what the fuck they're saying. Watch what they do. I don't care what the headline is. We're looking at the charts.
That's
the
right.
chart tells the story. How many times they told us, oh, we're not going to raise rate, and then we just see the shit rips. We're not going to print, and then the thing just keeps dying. Like, it's just like.
But here's the why. Like, they have to. They have no choice.
Exactly. Look at this. Whew.
That's the catch. But if you don't know, they don't have a choice. You know, you're going to think that they're going to really stop doing what they're saying. So what is quantitative tightening? Quantitative tightening is them saying, in one vein, they're going to continue to raise rates and reduce liquidity, which is which is them saying we're not going to support the price of the market any longer.
Exactly.
Now, I find that hard to believe, because what that means is it's just going to rug pull the market.
Exactly. And this is where the most dangerous thing that they're going to try to do is that controlled demolition. And I'm going to try to explain this slow because it's a little bit counterintuitive. The same one I was talking about, rate of change. I'm not saying inflation has left. It's still bad. We're still like a fucking terrible country. Anything more than 3% is bad. What I'm saying is the rate of change is slowing down, because it used to rapidly increase. The first time we had like 5%, then it went to 7, then 7.3, then 7.8. Well, I don't know if you can pull up the data. There's a way, somebody show me, I forgot. There's a way to literally pull up the inflation number from the Fed month over month over the last 6 months, because it literally tells you, because they have the estimate and they have the actual. And we can see how it has gradually go up over the months. But then last 2 months, it went up, but it was just a little bit. And then people, the assumption is it might peak, and if it peaks, it's a sign of a reversal, meaning It's not going to plummet tomorrow. It's going to go sideways. It's always like that because it goes reps, parabolic, then it goes sideways, then it dumps. I'm saying we might be entering the sideways zone. Let's see. Oh, thank you. You see, people watching. This is what we call rate of change. Since October, it was rip, and then doing it in the bar format.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It looks better like that.
So this is what we're talking about rate of change. It's still very bad. Third world country level. You see, anything above 5 is just extremely bad.
It's horrible.
It's horrible. But we're saying that it might peak, which then means
this could be the peak, right? This could literally be the peak already, and we just don't know it yet.
Exactly, because May will be like the confirmation. Like we need to see 7 some, 8.5, 8.3, because somebody could say, just like a chart, it pumped, then it kind of retraces a little bit, then it pumps again, right? So you need a back to back. The back to back is the confirmation. If we get like a 7.3 or less, that means okay, motherfucker, we peaked just like a COVID number, and then we can start to do the second phase, which is we're still gonna tighten, meaning remove liquidity. Make no fucking mistake about it, but we're just gonna print less because they got 2 tools. They're just gonna stop playing with one. Because at first they had to use both because it was so bad. They had to remove and they had to raise rates. This time around, they might start to slow down the rate increase. That's why DXY might like kind of slow down so that they can just print a little bit less. They're still gonna print, but they're gonna print a little bit less because they don't want to create a crazy deflationary event and then the whole thing collapse. Because make no mistake, they start printing, the whole thing falls down.
Yeah, and that's the whole point. That's why they have to, like, you see, they're doing repos, they're doing quantitative
everything.
They're doing everything. They're not just doing one thing.
That's what we told people: run for the hills, run for the hills. They're removing everything. I told people, right? The pressure pipe is rising.
So think about it. Think about it like this, because it's hard to explain it. Because you just tried to explain it, but it's really hard to explain it now. After you tried to explain it, like the way I think about it is like this. Think about it like this. You got somebody that's trying to dress up a table where a bunch of people are about to eat, but they're going to dress it up with a bunch of dirty dishes. That's really what's going on, because you're not about to eat nothing at that table on those dirty ass dishes at all, because it's disgusting. You're going to walk away and you're going to go stay hungry.
Yep.
And that's basically what's about to happen here. They're gonna make it so that you think you're about to eat, but you're not.
Exactly. They're gonna pull the rug under your ass. And then when we're talking about liquidity, we're trying to explain in crypto term that everybody understand. Because again, without liquidity, there's more slippage, and then things can just basically easily crash because everybody's quote unquote running for the hills. They're running to the cash. They're removing themselves from the market. Right. You see that even in the traditional market, and that's also what we're also talking about reverse repo. Meaning the regular repo was kind of like the Fed was just buying the junk bonds and the junk stocks and literally do something almost illegal they were not supposed to do, directly intervene in the market to basically keep those zombie company at float to some extent. But then when they realize the whole system is at risk, just like the European just literally sacrificed Cyprus, they're going to fucking sacrifice your ass first before they lose the whole system. And that's why they did the reverse, which is, all right, we don't want your garbage anymore. Give me back my money. I want out of the market. And that's how they were sucking that liquidity out. People have to repay their loan. Rates are going up higher. So that's why it forces everybody else that borrow crazy amount of money, almost 0% or whatever on leverage. Now, all of a sudden, when the rate increases, all of a sudden the cost of borrowing increases too. So they got to pay back the money right away, or they're going to be putting themselves at risk because, again, it's money they don't actually have. And it's a perfect timing for them to do so because the shit already went up 10x, 20x, whatever. The Bitcoin
on an accounting basis is the perfect time.
It's a perfect time. And the cool thing is, as the rate of the interest rate increases, they can be on the other side and no longer be the borrower. They can be the lender. In other words, they return the money, cash out the profit. And now because the yield rate has increased, now they can be on the other side and just sit on the cash and then collect.
Back in business, baby.
Back in business, exactly. It's almost like if HEX yield just went up, interest rate, now you're more incentivized to buy it and stake it because you'll get the value for that. And that's how it created the DXY to shoot up like crazy, because when other part of the world has literally negative fucking interest rate and we're almost at 3%.
Got no choice.
No choice. That's why I posted the other chart to show literally how the spike that was crazy. Can you pull out the 10-year yield?
Yeah. Hold on. I'm I'm like dying over here,
I
bro.
know, the timing.
Like
It's crazy.
it's so insane because it's almost painfully obvious.
I know. And then zoom out, pull up the monthly chart. I want to see people. Remember that controlled demolition we should talk about? It literally
Yeah,
went to that zone.
yeah.
It literally went to that
Right
motherfucking
to
zone.
it.
You see
This
what
is it.
this is it, and this is the peak right there. Look at that.
Yeah.
Crazy. Back in
The
the range.
hold on. What's today? The last day of the
Yeah,
month,
there you
motherfucker.
go. Right on cue.
Right
Right
on.
on. I mean, it doesn't
You can't make this shit up, man.
You can't make this shit up. Thank you. And just for fun, right? Just to show you guys how much the cost of borrowing went up. Wells, can you drop a percentage range from the bottom to the top?
Sure.
For people to understand, because this is a multi-trillion-dollar market. I mean, this is the biggest market in the world. You know what I mean? Like the bond market. So for people to understand, oh, cream, it's only 3%. No. Look at this.
8x.
8x. Cost of borrowing went up 8x in how long? 6 months? 3 months?
791 days. So 2 years.
Insane. It's like your monthly payment just went up 8 times. So you better pay that money back before you get squeezed. And imagine being on the other side of that. Now you're the lender. You're getting that 3%. 3% from the federal government? Shit. During a crypto debt?
Yo, I mean, it's kind of laughable, right? Because when you
and
hear
the thing was stupid. We can see that bullshit from a mile away. You know?
But when you hear 3%, it's like, what do you even mean 3%?
Mm-hmm.
But look, yo, hold on. Let me answer this question. What do we mean by liquidity? Liquidity is just the actual money that's coming into the legacy markets to pump it up, just like you see them pump up Bitcoin and Ethereum. It's all the same thing.
Liquidity is just a pool of funds.
Exactly.
Money.
But you have to scale out and see that there's a pool of funds, but it's the entire economy's pool of funds.
Yep. And when you run out of that, you're fucked. If you have bad, again, I can't basically balance sheet management, which is basically what the fuck happened to Luna, because they ran out of fucking liquidity.
Oh yeah, that is what happened to them. Those morons.
Well, they had a bucket with like 10 bullet holes in it, leaking in every direction, and they kept trying to fill the bucket back up with the money that they were getting from selling the Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
So they hurt Bitcoin.
Exactly.
And they hurt Luna.
And this is the most dangerous thing that happened with the algorithmic stablecoin, because that shit doesn't care. You're always trying to suck value out to try to repair the pair. And what they don't understand is that I think at the peak, near the peak of the market, when they were bragging about buying fucking tops, $60,000 Bitcoin, $45,000, they're bragging about literally
it was 46,000 to 48,000.
It was insane. Dude, the fucking collateral was only like 1.3x. In other words, like in crypto, it's so bad and so volatile. We call over collateralized something that's like 3 times.
10 to 1.
Like
10 to 1 is ideal, right?
At least 1.3x, that shit is nothing. So when Bitcoin got the haircut of 50%, all of a sudden your 1.3x is now worth like 0.7. So of course the pair is going to be dislocated, because it's like, wait a minute, you only have 70% of what actually the number of coin that's been printed. Of course the pair is going to start to not be 1-to-1. And then the trader sees that it's an opening, the algorithmic bots gets in there, and it's game over. He's going to constantly buy the cheap one to sell for the better one. And then you just keep recycle and just really siphon value like that over time. And then the panic kicks in, and then the cascade liquidation just take everybody back home. Meanwhile, Citadel is shorting that shit too. Wow. Hey, but you
very good, man. Kareem, you're on fire today, brother.
I haven't seen you guys in a while, so we got to wake people up. Remember, HEX.com. Put some respect
not to be right. I mean, look, yo,
I ain't gonna lie. I got a little FOMO from what you were saying about the
Don't worry. And
you know what's crazy to me though? Yeah. Check this out, Kareem. This is what's crazy to me, because all this time we've been telling people like how to look at things, what to do, how to look at it, whatever. And what do? Not that. Then they get mad. Because they heard us say all the moon boys should accept what? The most important part, which was stake that motherfucker.
Exactly.
and now the t-shirt rate jumped 750,000.
1,000. Wait, how did this happen? It's like when you're gonna see the pump, they'll be like, wait, why is the price pumping so hard? I'm like, wait, didn't you miss the memo? Like it's funny to me, because it's like they don't understand that literally what's easy to do is also easy not to do.
That's right.
That's where the wisdom comes from. That's why repetition is the mother of all skills. Understand and do what you do.
I wanna just use that amount of hex that jumped up today just to detail it in monetary terms for people, right? So they can kind of wrap their head around what just happened because
Insane.
it's really insane. Because Hex is only worth 8 cents per coin.
Yep.
Now, what just happened? It jumped up $60
Yes.
worth
Per
T share. Per T share. So
Imagine.
if you try to get 2 damn T shares, bro, that's 1,500 Hex.
There you go. It's crazy.
Additional to the previous T share rate.
Yep. And it's at current price too. Because if the price then double or triple, you can take down. It's a force multiply because it's in hex term.
Exactly.
I hope people understand like what that means.
Yo,
like,
I did a whole stream on the importance of people understanding variability in fiat versus the consistency of crypto. And I didn't mean to cut you off, Axel, so please continue.
I just think it's funny because what all he's trying to say simply is the share rate from yesterday to today went up 755 coins to get one.
Yeah.
So it went from like 21,900 to 22,600. So anyway, the point is it went up 755 coins, which is it's just $60 of value. And I know a lot of people that only make $100 a day at their job. So like that's literally the system telling you, hey, this network's increasing in value versus your wage. If you weren't using your wage to buy prior, you just lost $60 on your $100 if in T-share terms. This is why the world is going to be backed in T-share terms in the future. It's just people haven't realized it yet.
Absolutely. And like famously, DJ Khaled said it best: yesterday's price is not today's price.
No, it's not.
And again,
I love that line too because it's so fucking true.
Not to create panic, anything, but guys, that was on less than 5,000 T-shirts, bro. Like who knows how many of those are out there hidden from here to the end of the year.
Hold on, bro. Let's check.
Oh my goodness.
Let's check because I was during the query earlier. I'm gonna fucking do it here.
So the acceleration has only just begun. And that's the beauty when you look at it on Apex that way, and then Wellbot Perfect did a screenshot. You can see it's like we just got a new stairs, like boop, and then it just go, and then from there it just arcs more, and then it just accelerate faster and faster and faster to the point where it's like the increase is gonna be so savage. Is this imagine Hex went up another 10x from here, right? I mean that's $60 increase is actually a $600 increase because once it increases, it never goes back down. It only goes up. It only goes up.
I have a chart right now that I tweeted out the other day that I said something along the lines of like I was scared to show it to you guys, and I'm not going to show it to you guys. But
quick question. Do you guys know what is the right value to enter for end? Because I don't want to have to start googling this shit.
Well, what
I'm a noob with that thing.
Drag.
Yeah, I don't know because I tried a day earlier.
This changed. So when you just want to try and change the time frame.
I want to, like see for the next 365 days.
I just click, so get off this.
Yeah,
and then there should be a little dot, like 3 little dots on the upper corner of the red bar graph.
Oh, no, I wanted to see like the actual stakes, bro. I didn't want to see.
Oh, shit, I don't know.
Yeah.
I haven't.
I wanted to see like that. Like, I wanted to see like the actual stake count.
Firebone, help.
Oh, go to, try to grab the screen and then grab it from that bar, from the left side, from that bar, and then just grab it then for like 10 bars. No, the big one from right around before June 1st. Sliding one left.
Wait, June 1st, where?
Oh, I'm sorry. Like May 27. Like go to one more, and then just grab it here, grab it, press, and then slide. Yeah, one more, and then stop here, and then you should automatically load. That's what I do. He just kind of grabs it.
Okay, looks like it kind of worked.
Yeah, and then usually, and
we
can do another. Let's just do.
You can zoom in a little more. It'll even break it down more.
Grab it again.
This is first 7 days. I don't know if this is okay. You guys don't think
just keep grabbing. It's gonna zoom out. Grab it again.
This is first 7 days for the next year. I think this is good enough.
Yeah. Grab it from the beginning again, and then just stop at like January 2022. Yeah, just grab it.
It'll break it down real nice on the daily.
Right here, yeah. Because I do that, it just makes it small and easier.
There
you go. Look at them massive things. So, and a lot of them are like big payday stuff because I remember a long time ago, again, not just people copy my ID because it's cool. Because I was doing the, after 10 years, whatever, I was doing the 6 months. But I remember one big well did something like that, and God well too. Every 6 months and not every 3 months. It's literally those hidden t-shirts out there. So some of those big spikes, bro. There's definitely a lot of those hitting out there. Literally, that thing was only like was 54 million hex, something like that. But the cool thing was the APY though. That was awesome. There was like a 49% APY, 788 days, something like that. And it was just nice. It was like 4,800 change t-shirts. So it's like, bro,
something nice, right?
Nice. You know what I mean? So it's just like there's many of those out there just hidden, ready to be just popping out. And it's perfect because it just kind of closed the door behind those who don't.
So tomorrow is actually going to be the highest quantity of hex that's going to be expiring in the foreseeable future.
Mm-hmm. It was one of those rotational stakes that was like 2 weeks.
Yo,
that's doing like
tomorrow is bigger than today. Imagine what could happen tomorrow if we saw a 755 hex stake.
Wait, Kareem, you said that was a short one? Like a
this one, one of the, because there's a person that's rotating like 300 mil to 500 mil every 2 weeks.
He was probably trying to play the pulse chain launch.
Yeah, or just pushing share rate. You know what I mean? Just like, because again, people don't understand those 5 to 8 billion hex that got removed out of circulation. Remember, every time somebody sells, somebody buys. A lot of that is just going to end up being turned into a rotational stake and just push share rate like crazy. Because when you stake short, but you have more than 150 million hex, you're getting the 10% bonus. People keep forgetting that. It's automatic. 10% yield is the equivalent of you staking for at least a year plus. So if you're staking for 1 month, because if you stake for 1 month right now, quick maths, you used to get, I'm not trying to scare people, but I just you guys to understand, I monitor that shit like a hawk because I just love to watch those people being diluted. Back in the day, you used to get 3% a month just from staking short. That was pretty nice. Now it's like 1.8% because it went down a lot.
Yeah.
Because not only share is going up, people don't understand, it punishes you even more severely the shorter you stake by a factor of 3x. So quick math means that when something goes up 755%, 55x, what you just lost compared to the long-term staking is not 755 per hex. You just lost 755 times 3. Because if it wasn't for that increase, you would have got the share rate, you would have staked for 10 plus years, and you would have get 3x bonus multiplier. Now you just lost 755 overnight times 3. Because with the new share rate, even if you get that and you multiply by 3, you can never get that rate that you used to have. So everything has a force multiplier attached to it, which is what's so insane. So the yield is slowing down. Now, all that money being exited, whatever, multiple massive stake rotating like that, anything more than 150 million hex, it's now getting the kickback of the bonus of bigger pays better. So now you got 300 million hex plus bigger pays better. That person is doing 2 weeks, 1 month, 30 days, whatever, but he's getting the 10%.
So now you're looking at like 11.8%.
Exactly. Thank you, sir. So now he's able to push the share even faster. So although he's getting diluted, it's compensating by the 10% bonus that he's getting from the yield. And then he can just increase the amount because he never sells. It goes 150 million. Then it could be 200, could be 500, could be, one of them was like a 400 million for like 2 weeks. 30 days. I mean, that's where those big bars come from. So it's going to start just run. And every now and then, when the big payday one comes out, like the one today, bam, you get a 700 increase. So now we're going to start doing like 50, 30 something. And then every now and then, some of those big payday that are coming out, they just keep pushing that bitch out.
Like, I just want to make a point here. When you guys see on this chart, the maroon, go back one there, Wilson. Go back to the thing we were just looking at. Yeah, like the maroon in the back, that shadow, that's like the projected T-share acceleration. But the thing that you're not accounting for in there is that you actually, it extends off of that. And then the delta between what it's showing you actually expands higher than that, even that graph is showing over time because new stakes continually push that up. So you're actually not even, you're seeing today's what it's going to be like in the future, but it's actually even exponentially curving up, even up, and the delta is even expanding even farther beyond that. So you're seeing the past. You're looking at the past. This thing encapsulates time, and you can only project the future and know that it's going to be higher than what you see on the screen.
Exactly. Because it's not counting the future stake. I literally could just
people aren't going to stop staking because they're making money doing it. That's the value of it.
8 p.m., 9 p.m. today, Eastern time, right? This shit could just end, ratchet like crazy, and then you can see another well bob, massive stake just got put in. And it's just I am telling you, those billions of HEX that got removed, they're going to come back viciously. Stake the shit out of this thing. And then the cool thing is it's protecting the system because this is a little bit more advanced. This is crazy. This is where the stake is going to win, okay? What's amazing about what's amazing about the overall system is that as the payout per T-shares stay the same or increase because the daily inflation gets better and better and better, massive stakes can come in, replace the T-share that are being diluted, okay, to push the share even further without diluting the yield of the staker that's already in place. That's insane. Let me say it again because it's a little. Let's say you were already chilling on your 10-year yield and you were getting your 40-some%, 50 or 60 if you're already good, okay? As people are being diluted, one of the benefits is your yield naturally goes up because you have old T-shares, less T-share in the pool while the payout is slowly increasing per day, daily payout. Now you're getting more. But let's say instead of getting more, you're getting the same because as the people are being diluted, the big stakes are coming in to overcompensate for that because they also bring in a lot of T-shares, right? But the cool thing is over time, your yield is not really affected because the people being diluted is replaced by the big T-share being put in. And the big T-share only job is literally just to push the share rate, just to keep creating that separation. Between those who understand and master the system, basically the system saying, do what I tell you to do, and I'm going to pay you well. You don't do what I'm telling you to do, you're going to get less. And that's literally, I firmly believe that's what those big stakes are doing. That's the only reason why they're there. Because think about it. They don't sell. They're just there. It just rotates, push share rate. So not only you're winning, share rate is increasing, and you're not being diluted because the massive big T-shares are just here to compensate for the people being diluted. So also, we don't end up with 100% APY. As much as I want to, I don't want to get to 100% APY right now because I want the price to go up, right? I want the bond math. I'm okay with 65%, okay? I'm good with that. I'm good with that.
So if I were a whale in the shoes of this guy that's doing this like 150 million plus stake every month or 2 months, you know what I'd be doing is I'd be gaming. I'd be trying to play the liquidity pools on one hand, and I would be trying to play the rolling stakes. So like, let's say we go way off the mean. Like you got to figure out what's most valuable in that moment in this point in time, because like over time they might be able to readjust their allocations between the liquidity pools and what their rolling stake is. And either way, they can win on both sides of this. You're effectively shorting it, as Kareem said earlier in the broadcast.
Yeah, I've said this many times. Hexacan, quick math. This is just mathematically. Again, this is mathematical advice. This is what we do. Shark and above. This is what you do. It's the most mathematical, pure thing that you do. You don't sell. You don't dump the price. If anything, you provide liquidity. You don't pay for trading fee. It's crazy. People literally pay for the gas fee for you. Literally, it's stupid. Number two, you're getting literally the pay on the providing the liquidity by being a liquidity provider. And number three, when we're near bottom like we were, this is the easiest massive way to accumulate. People literally dump into your bags. I mean, it doesn't get any fucking easier than that. And then when you remove all that HEX, because you know how cheap it is to avoid having dormant capital, which I talk about all the time, which is bad, you literally just turn into a massive rotational stake. And you're just pushing people out because you already have the HEX. You're not going to sell because we're near the bottom. It's stupid. You know what HEX's real value is. So you just turn into a massive rotation. Say you get a 10% bonus, and then that's it. You just keep it rolling to the point where we're just gonna exhaust the sellers because they're either running out of HEX because they already blew their bags. Those people selling that 8 to 9 billion HEX is no longer back, and the people that do the rotation are their selling pressure month over month is smaller and smaller because it's getting harder and harder for you to get any yield. Even let's say even if you have, let me give an example. That's gonna shock people a little bit. Even if you have $50,000, which is a decent amount, right? Most people don't have it, right? Is it fair to say? So $50,000 on a rotational stake, which I have many friends that have that and more, right? at a 1.8% interest rate, like 50,000 looks big, but it's not that much. Think about it, right? Let me round it up. 2%, right? 1% is what? $500. 2% is $1,000. You made $1,000 a month. Okay, big deal. You sell $1,000, that's nothing. You're barely hurting the price. And you're getting less and less and less because you're getting less and less t-shirts. You're gonna get $1,000 a month, and then soon from now you're gonna get $800 a month, and then $600 a month, and then $500 a month, and then $300 a month, and then you're gonna become irrelevant.
And eventually you're gonna be like, well, now I gotta like triple my stake length in order to try to keep up with what I was getting before.
Either that's gonna happen, or you're gonna be irrelevant. And when the real pump comes in, you get washed, and then you might even sell the whole 50K, and then we just buy you out, and then bye bye. And that's what's going to happen, especially on Pulse Chain, because just the cost savings of the gas fee alone is going to eat all the dumping coming from the rotational stakes, because it's not that much, especially as they're being diluted. That's what's genius about the share system. It forces you to stake long, or you're going to be eaten out and then left behind.
Yep. I mean, people don't really grasp the delta and the gains from a 3% monthly yield to a 1.8%. That's pretty drastic.
It's drastic. It's the same shit at the DXY going from almost 0 to 3%. Well, Kareem, no. Heck, Wells just told you to fucking 8x.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. And basically that income
do you guys think that that's the HEX system mirroring the real world, or do you think that's happening independent of the real world?
I think it's trying to mirror it personally.
It mirrors to some degree, but it's in a new age. It's doing something that the real world, number one, cannot do.
Well, no, you see what I'm saying? Like human behaviors and psychology is still rooted in what was, but we haven't quite evolved out of that yet. So maybe the behavior, the systems, the behavior of the participants.
This is forcing your hand. Yeah.
I put it this way.
It's forcing you to think.
Right?
It's doing what the
I think that's my point. Is it's making what we're doing here is we're educating a whole new investor class of people in a whole new way of investment that hasn't ever existed before.
Yeah, and the beauty is we're educating something that's already happening. Like it's not like it's new. You know what I mean? It's already happening. We're just really dissecting what is happening for them to understand. So it's mimicking and mirroring what the real world is actually dying to try to do but can't do. Because you're dealing with humans who trying to be like, oh, it's a little too much. It's like you're trying to do a recipe. And then you're trying to be like, oh, it's this many spoon and that many spoon. When it's like the fucking robot just comes up like, bitch, this is how you do it. It's like, like to the millimeter.
I love streaming with you guys. This has been so fun.
Yeah, let's wrap it up, yo, because we could keep talking for hours about this shit.
We might just be stuck in the green room discussing stuff after this.
So, again, in conclusion, to summarize, because I miss you guys so much, I'm gonna drop some junk, and I want to come back maybe next week or whatever.
Yeah, let's try to do something.
Let's do it more. I'm gonna make more time because I'm getting geared to just onboarding crazy and then possibly start traveling more. Because again, I'm really hoping for Pulse Chain to launch, and I'm gonna be out there. Because like I said, that's what my dream is: onboarding people, and not to throw more opiums. But since I got here in Miami, literally like my user count on my IG like almost triple. It's crazy. I've onboarded people, owners of clubs, owners of restaurants, big celebrity like Fresh and Fit type. I mean, they're mainly basically Hexicans everywhere. It's crazy. People were loving this dip, be buying the dip like crazy. So do not give away your fucking t-shirts. Understand what is it that you're having. Please, please, please. The thing that's the most sad is if you're one of us that's been here for a while and you're still fucking around and blowing away your t-shirts, and then when the copy comes and then we start to fly and you sit there and then you cry, I'll be very sad for you. But then I would tell you, we've been done told you, right? So please 100%. Understand what's happening. Liquidity is almost inexistent. Those who got wrecked, they no longer can wreck the system anymore. They literally got washed out. Share rate just went up tremendously and will continue to go up tremendously at an exponential rate. Hopefully soon, we're going to have, Pulse Chain coming up. But don't wait for that. Again, share rate doesn't wait for nobody. This is a trick. You're sitting there waiting for the perfect time to try to time it. Meanwhile, guess what? Today you didn't stake, you're fucked. Even if you have a stake right now that's pending, you're fucked. It's going to go live in an hour. Share it.
You guys understand what Kareem and Wales have said today. You will understand that true accumulation of a real value asset never ends. And so your goal should not be to retire. Exactly. Your goal should be to accumulate something pre-fork. That's my opinion.
You're buying a productive asset.
Non-stop.
Non-stop, baby.
I dumped my Bitcoin in Ethereum mine, and I didn't even have to think about it. Like, this was the greatest thing ever that happened to me. So, like, it can be for you too. You can still own 1 trillion of something. So make sure you take advantage of that before that opportunity is gone.
Remember, Bitcoin doesn't pay yield. A T-share does. Never forget that. A T-share will be more expensive than a Bitcoin. I've said it 2 years ago, and I'm gonna say it again. Double down for the new people. Stack those. Hold them for as long as you can. You just witnessed today how literally in a couple hours, well, not even like in a fraction of a second, it went up 700
points. Seconds, instantly. It just happened from one moment to the next. And this is what people don't understand. There's no warnings here. It just happened.
And that's just the acceleration 2.5, 3 years in. Imagine 15 years from now. Every day, 15 years from now, it could go up 700 points. It would be like a lottery number. Just every 30 minutes, sharing could just increase. 10, 15 years from now, imagine 5 million stakers. Share it could literally fluctuate every 10 minutes. Share it increase. Share it increase. Bot's going to go crazy. It's gonna because there's so many stakes. Think about it. So many stakes, so many people, so much acceleration. Less and less and less. It's just going to be like, again, it's the scarcest asset in the world, period. Because it's bound by time.
Because of how it's designed.
Yep.
Yeah, because of how it's designed. I mean, it's something that lives on borrowed time.
Deep. That's a deep truth right there. I guess a good one to close it out on. I'm hungry.
And don't forget, there's a song. Everybody done told you.
Right. The reality is that I want to be rich as fuck. There's only one way to be rich as fuck. That's by sitting on your ass the longest. That's it. That's the secret. The guy well told you. Richard done told you. I done told you. Kareem done told you. Maddie done told you. Everybody done told you. Everybody done told you. Shit, motherfuckers still acting like they don't know. Appreciate that. I appreciate that.
100% safe. There's plenty of games left.
Valiant done told you. Yo, everybody said it. I mean, hey, you know what it is, man. Everybody done told you.